Chapter 35:12. The gang race master did not answer Emperor Mo. He waved his hands, and a gust of wind sprang up in the hall. The gust of wind blew up many furnishings in the hall, but Luli still did not show himself. Ha ha ha, interesting, interesting. The Steel Tribe patriarch laughed heartily. His hand once again pressed downwards, causing a terrifying pressure to descend. It felt as though the heavens themselves were pressing down. In that instant, Emperor Mo's body trembled, and he almost fell to his knees. At this moment, Emperor Mo had stopped breathing, let alone moving a finger. Force in heaven and earth, a super skill of a perfect warrior. After the Steel Tribe patriarch was released, a figure appeared in the middle of the hall. His face was filled with bitterness, and he couldn't move his body. The gang race leader waved his hand, and the horrifying power disappeared. Both Emperor Mo and Luli could move. What a marvelous skill! The gang race leader exclaimed. Emperor Lu, is this the traceless path of the immortal region? Yes. Luli bowed. You have a good eye. I learned it by chance in the immortal region, and I have only mastered it recently. Impressive. The gang race leader gave a thumbs up. If I don't know you are nearby, and don't use force in heaven and earth, I will not be able to find you. Not even a perfect warrior can detect your traceless path unless they suspect you are nearby and also use force in heaven and earth. In that case, you will have to show yourself. With the traceless path, you can go anywhere in the world. Oh, Emperor Mo was overjoyed. With the traceless path, Luli would be the most powerful assassin in the world. Luli could go to the Dace race again. So what if the Dace race had two perfect warriors? Luli could do whatever he wanted. But Luli was not so optimistic. He asked, Gang race leader, is it true that no perfect warrior can find me without using force in heaven and earth? No. The gang race leader shook his head. If it is a perfect warrior that has learned the law of space, I think they can find you easily. But it will be harder for the others. You must be careful if you encounter a perfect warrior that cultivates the law of space. They are very sensitive to space and are the most powerful perfect warriors. Because no matter what you do, you will be able to sense it immediately. I understand. Luli thought about it. A glint of hatred rose in his eyes. He cupped his fists and said, Gang race leader, try again and see if you can find me. All right. The gang race leader nodded with pleasure. Luli dashed away and entered the Dharma realm directly. Entering the Dharma realm and releasing the traceless Tao were the same. They both disappeared into thin air, so there didn't seem to be any difference. The tribe leader of the Steel race released his psychic power and then used heaven and earth force to sense Luli. He also used some other means. Naturally, he could not find Luli. In the end, he used force in heaven and earth to suppress Luli. However, this time, Luli was not forced out. Luli was no longer in this hall. He had entered the Dharma realm. The gang tribe king's face was filled with shock. It had been many years since he had shown such an expression. As a great perfection deity and an old monster who had lived for countless years, what hadn't he seen before? What kind of storms had they not seen before? There were too few things that could move him. Luli had given him a surprise just now. Now, he was even more shocked. He had used heaven and earth force, and yet he could not force Luli out? The entire hall was under the suppression of heaven and earth force. Unless Luli was not in the hall, there was no way he could remain invisible. Where is Luli? King Mo was stunned to see that Luli was not in the Dharma realm. Now he understood why Luli could walk around in the Dipper Galaxy so easily. It was almost impossible for the carp race to find him. I don't believe it. The Steel Tribe patriarch continuously released several powerful techniques, including a powerful divine skill, causing the entire space to tremble violently. If this palace didn't have any divine runes, it would have collapsed. Even so, Luli was not forced out. After the time for one incense stick to burn, the gang tribe leader said with a smile, Lu, please come out. I am sincerely convinced by you. Buzzing, Luli dashed out. The gang tribe leader cupped his fists and said, Lu, you have opened my eyes. Heroes come from the young. I am impressed. The gang tribe leader was the most powerful warrior in the Chaotic Star region. He cupped his fist to a young warrior and said he was sincerely convinced by Luli. If the outside world learned about this, the entire chaotic star region would be shocked. King Emo was shocked. He was completely convinced by Luli now. Not to mention them. Even a great perfection stage powerhouse would not be able to make the gang tribe king submit willingly, right? Luli was worthy of the pride and admiration of the entire Grim Reaper for this matter alone. The heaven and earth force was gone. Luli bowed and said, "You flatter me, gang tribe leader. This junior's insignificant skill has made clan kings see a joke." The gang tribe leader asked with curiosity, "Lu, did you use the traceless Tao as well? Is the traceless Tao so powerful?" Well, Luli touched his nose in embarrassment. He thought about it and said, "It was not the traceless Tao. It was another skill of mine." Well, ha ha ha. Seeing that Luli was about to say something, the gang tribe leader waved his hand and said, "It's okay. Every powerful warrior has their own skills. You don't have to say more. I can tell you that with the skill you used, you can do whatever you want in the 8 galaxies, not to mention the immortal region. Not even the most powerful warriors can find you. You want to go to the Dipper Star region, right?" The gang tribe leader said, "You came to me to see if the 2 warriors of the Gui's race can find you, right? Don't worry. I have fought them before. I can promise you that as long as you are not targeted by them, they will not find you. Even if you use the traceless Tao, they will not find you." Okay. Luli was excited, and King Mo was even more so. The battle at the Dipper Star region was of great importance. If the Gui's race could be convinced, then the Grim Reaper would be famous in the 8 galaxies. Average races would not bother the Grim Reaper for no reason. The Grim Reaper would enter a period of rapid development and eventually become an overlord of the 8 galaxies. But the gang tribe leader thought about it and said seriously, "Warriors of the consummate realm can blend in with heaven and earth. They can hide in the air without making a sound. You will not be able to sense them. So, you must be careful when you go to the Gui's race. Try not to show yourself. Leave as soon as you finish your job and do not linger. Try not to kill the Gui's race. Just wipe out the carp race. Otherwise, if the Gui's race cannot stand down, they may attack the headquarters of the Grim Reaper by force. By then, you will be in trouble." Actually, the Ridge Tribe Patriarch paused for a moment, then added, "This Patriarch suggests that you try not to provoke the Gui tribe. Little friend Lu, if you are unlucky enough to run into a great paragon, and he is locked onto you, then even if your methods are heaven-defying, you will still die. That is all I have to say. Think about it." Chapter 35:13. Back from the gang race, Luli had a discussion with the other leaders. Emperor Mo and Sovereign of Wings advised Luli not to be hasty and to proceed with caution. None of the other leaders advised Luli to go to the Tian Gang Galaxy. If Luli were to die, it would be a great loss for the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper had just ascended to the throne. He might not be able to keep it that way. Luli did not make a decision right away. He said that he should take a rest and think about it. He was back at the Lu mansion and with his family. His mind and body relaxed. He did not think too much and decided to rest for a few days. The Lu family did not have a clear understanding of the turbulent situation in the Tian Gang Galaxy. Lu Ren Wang and Lu Ling knew something, but they did not tell the girls. Therefore, the girls only thought that Luli had been away for a few years, and they did not ask. It had been a long time since Luli came back. Yin Qingxi, Xiang Linglong, and the others had come out from cultivation, and they spent a few days with Luli. In the backyard of the Lu residence, the environment was especially good. There was even a small lake, and beside the lake, there was a large pavilion with green trees. Yin Qingxi was playing the zither. Bai Qiuxue was practicing her swordsmanship. Prajna was massaging Lu Li's shoulders. Xiang Linglong was reading. Qi Shi'er was pouring tea, and Bai Xiaoshuang was playing by the lake. The family was having a great time. Luli could not stop smiling when he saw this. What an honor he had in his life. He was loved by so many chosen warriors. If he could have more children, then his life would be complete. What's the problem? Luli asked again. He had not been able to have children for so many years. He had so many wives that it was unlikely that something was wrong. Then he must be the one that was wrong. Was it because his body was reconstructed? But many powerful warriors had their bodies reconstructed as well. Luli could have children and his bodily functions were intact. But he did not know what the problem was. Luli stopped thinking about it after a while. It was pointless to think about it. After so many years, nothing could be done. He would leave it to fate. He looked at the lake in the distance, whereby Xia Shuang and Enlure were playing. Enlure, his little disciple, had grown into a great beauty. Most importantly, her talent was really abnormal. She had now reached the quasi-emperor realm, and it was estimated that she would break through to the emperor realm in the next 2 years. Lu Ling became the target of many young masters, and so did Enlure. Some young masters even added Lu Ling and Enlure to the list. They became the 5 golden flowers of the god of death. There were many handsome young men pursuing Enlure, but Enlure didn't care about any of them. She never went out to attend banquets or anything like that. She only hung out with the mistresses. I still have to go to the Heavenly Dipper Star Zone. Luli had finally made up his mind. If he did not go to the Heavenly Dipper universe and defeat the Gooeys, then the Grim Reaper would not be able to operate in the Heavenly Dipper universe. Once this side was stopped, the other star fields would probably be attacked one after another. The prestige of the Grim Reaper would also be greatly affected. The Grim Reaper did not have a great perfection realm master, and his forces had just been transformed. His foundation was already unstable. Once he suffered a blow, his position as the ruler of the god of death would be unstable. Could it be that he was going to invite Xiaobai down again? Xiaobai was facing a more precarious situation than Lu Li's. If he could not reach the absolute completion, he would lose his position as the king of the eastern region. All the powerful warriors that followed his father would be killed. Xiaobai was under so much pressure. He needed to make the best use of his time to cultivate. Lu Li would not go and disturb him. Once the Grim Reaper was unstable, the Lu family would not be. The Lu alliance needed time to develop and settle. Therefore, Lu Li must buy some time for the Grim Reaper to develop. The trip to the Heavenly Dipper universe was a must. Absolute completion was powerful. Once he was targeted by one, then he would die for sure. That being said, the Gooeys only had 2 absolute completion warriors. At most, they could send out one, or they would be laughed at by the entire world. One absolute completion warrior had so many universes and such a vast world. Lu Li would only run into this one if he was unlucky. As long as he didn't run into this one, what was there to be afraid of? I will leave in a month. Let's fight first and talk later. Lu Li secretly made up his mind. He would set off in a month's time to take a gamble and fight. If he won, then the Grim Reaper would have hundreds of years to develop. If he lost, then he would lose his life in the Heavenly Dipper universe. A month passed. Lu Li told the others that he was going to the Heavenly Dipper universe on behalf of the Grim Reaper. He didn't say much. The ladies didn't ask too many questions. They all knew that unless he had to, Lu Li wouldn't go anywhere. He would stay with them. Every time Lu Li went out, it was for the Lu family, for them to have a better life. Lu Ling and Lu Renhuang knew something, but they didn't say much. When Lu Li made up his mind, nobody else could say anything. They could only pray and wish him well. Managing the Lu family well was the best way to support Lu Li. We will go with you, Emperor Mo and Emperor of Wings said when they learned that Lu Li was going to the Heavenly Dipper universe. Emperor Yu and Emperor Li said nothing. The Gooeys had said that if they dared to go to the Heavenly Dipper universe, they would be hunted down by the Gooeys. Even Emperor Li would face death. No. Lu Li said with a smile, "You will be in danger if you go. You might as well send all the best scouts. I only need some intelligent support. Those at the perfect level will not do anything to you. It will be safer." Lu Li, Emperor Mo, said after a pause, "Let's give up on the Heavenly Dipper universe. We don't have to worry about the loss of one city." "This is not about the loss of one city." Lu Li sighed and said, "This is a question of whether or not we have a few hundred years to develop. If we retreat this time, I think there will be countless open spears and hidden arrows aimed at us in the future. In the future, we won't even be able to survive, let alone grow stronger." "Where is young Master Bai?" Emperor, you couldn't help but ask. Can you ask him to come again? Luli glanced at him and said, Little White has its own business. Don't think about relying on external forces. We have to rely on ourselves. Little White is not obliged to help us all the time. Also, there are troubles at the eastern region. We can't count on Little White in the future. All right, Emperor Lee nodded and said, Then I will count on you, Luli. I will send all the best scouts there, and they will listen to your orders. I only ask one thing. If things go south, Luli, you must come back. You must stay safe. Emperor Lee was not concerned about Luli. It was just that if Luli died, it would be a great loss for the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper would lose his position as the master. The reason why the Grim Reaper could become the master and enjoy a transcendent status in the Chaotic Star region was all because of Little White. I understand. Luli nodded. Looking at Emperor Lee, Emperor Mo, and Emperor of Wings, he said, If something happens to me, please take care of the Lu family. Don't worry. Emperor Emo nodded and said, No warrior can bully the Lu family unless I am dead. But Luli, Emperor Lee is right. Nothing is more important than your life. You must remember this. Only when you are alive can there be hope. Chapter 35:14. Half a year later, the battleship arrived at the Dipper Galaxy. This time, Luli was accompanied by more than 100 scouts, the best of the best. At the periphery of the Dipper Galaxy, Luli said, Later, you will go and hide yourselves. You don't have to go out of your way to gather information. You just need to lurk in some cities of major races and gather some information. Master Lu, you will stay in one place and coordinate. Do not go to the territories of the Dace race or the Dace race to gather information. Do you understand? Yes, Emperor Lu. The 100 scouts bowed and answered. Luli left on his own. It would be more dangerous for the scouts to go with him. He would have more freedom if he was on his own. He used skill of transfiguration to disguise himself as a warrior of another race and swaggered into the Dipper Galaxy. He did not take action right away. Instead, he went to Universe to gather information. It had been almost a year since the Dace race surrendered to the Dace race. Luli had no idea what was going on here. Naturally, he had to investigate first. He went to a big city and found that scouts of the Dace race and the Dace race were looking around. Finding nothing, the scouts kept a low profile. The entire Dipper Galaxy was rumored to be afraid of death and had all left the Dipper Galaxy. It was said that the Dace race even claimed that they would organize a group of powerful warriors to kill their way into the Dipper Galaxy and wipe out the Death God. Luli spent many celestial stones to find out more about the Dace race. He found out all the territories of the Dace race and some important places with resources. Then, Luli took action. Once again, he went to the Eternal Night universe. There were several powerful warriors that were close to the absolute completion of the Dace race. He planned to kill them first. Over a month later, he arrived at the Eternal Night universe. He wandered around the city of Eternal Night, released the Traceless Way, and entered the city of Eternal Night openly. He was delighted to find that there were only 3 warriors that were close to the absolute completion of the Dace race in the city. He did not use any tricks. Instead, he sneaked into a huge manor. 2 of the 3 supreme experts were sitting together while the last one was in seclusion in a palace. Luli sneaked to the 2 warriors that were playing chess. His Traceless Way had been mastered. Even when he was standing next to the 2 warriors, as long as he didn't make any moves and didn't show any killing intent, the 2 warriors wouldn't notice. Brother Yang, do you think the Death God has retreated? What else can they do other than retreat? That bastard Luli dares to fight against a master of the Great Perfection Realm, the chief patriarch of the race, patriarch of the Dace race. It's been almost a year, and there hasn't been any movement, nor have we found any scouts from the Grim Reaper of the Death God. Sai, we were killed by the Crimson Dragon clan this time. Not only did they make us lose so many experts, but we also became the vassals of the Gue clan. Dragon races war on and God. No, Dragon race, God, Lee's race, galaxy. I don't think the Dace race will exploit us. In a few years, their annual tribute will be doubled. If we have the chance, we will kill our way to the chaotic star region and uproot the Grim Reaper. We will kill every last one of Lu Li's family. If there is a chance, we must kill our way to the chaotic universe and uproot the Death God. We must kill every last one of Lu Li's race. His lips curled into a cold smile. After sensing for a moment, he sent a voice transmission to Blood Fairy, who was outside the palace. Move! Buzzing. Lu Li had arranged for Blood Fairy to hide outside the yard. Blood Fairy had set up a small formation. Naturally, she was not trying to deal with the two powerful warriors. Instead, she was trying to distract them so that Lu Li could take the chance to launch a surprise attack. Even though Lu Li was confident that he could kill the two warriors by force, it was safer this way. Buzzing. Blood Fairy activated the formation. A surge of horrifying energy spread out, which scared the two warriors playing chess. They stood up and used psychic power to check. To their surprise, there was a divine pattern outside. That is a goblin. Soon, they noticed Blood Fairy. While they were still in shock, they sensed a surge of horrifying energy behind them. They sensed a fatal danger. Without any hesitation, a shield and a barrier immediately appeared on their bodies. In this kind of situation, they had to protect themselves first. Phew, a flame expanded and instantly enveloped the two utmost powerful beings. This flame was a super flame with an incomparably high temperature. Even though the two utmost powerful beings had released their respective defensive mystic arts, they couldn't defend against such a terrifying flame. Lu Li, it is Lu Li! One of the patriarchs yelled. His shrill voice resounded across the city of Evernight. The other patriarch cried out in pain. The temperature of the fire was so high that many servants and maids in the manor were burned. While screaming in pain, they ran away in terror. Many places in the manor were immediately set ablaze, and countless precious flowers, plants, and trees were burned down. Lu Li, you are courting death. The other patriarch flew up from a hall. He had just noticed Lu Li, but Lu Li had vanished. The patriarch used psychic power to check, but could not find Lu Li. While the patriarch was wondering if he should come down and save the two patriarchs, a stream of light flew out from his back. The stream of light expanded and appeared above his head. The tripod. A year ago, when Lu Li killed Patriarch Eagle, this patriarch was there. The patriarch was taken aback when he saw the tripod. When the patriarch was about to run away, the glow from the tripod had come down. The patriarch was pinned to the ground, unable to move. Phew, Lu Li did not even bother to use the traceless sword. He released some flames, and the patriarch was incinerated. This patriarch suffered the most. The other two patriarchs could still scream and roll around. But this patriarch could not even move. He was suppressed until the moment of his death. Hiss, countless senses of the soul swept over the city. Many saint kings and soldiers gasped. Many of the soldiers trembled slightly, frightened out of their wits. How could Lu Li kill a warrior that was infinitely close to the consummate realm? What was more, Lu Li could sneak around unpredictably. Whoosh, some warriors in the city had begun to flee. They didn't even take their families with them. They just flew away. After the three patriarchs were incinerated, Lu Li put away the three interspatial rings. He flew up and dashed toward the east where the most saint emperors were gathered. Spread out. One of the dozens of saint emperors shouted. The saint emperors and warriors spread out. Lu Li vanished from the sky, and in the next second, he appeared next to a saint emperor. He took out the traceless sword. Without using any skill, he swung the supreme weapon at the warrior. Not only did the supreme weapon contain the Taoist rhythm of a warrior at the consummate realm, but it also contained some divine might. The saint emperor could not stand one move and was killed by Lu Li. Lu Li swung the traceless sword backhand and swung it to the left. The traceless sword disappeared, and in the next second, it appeared on a saint emperor's neck. Bang! A head flew up. Lu Li vanished from the sky, and in the next second, he appeared next to another saint emperor. The traceless sword glowed, and the saint emperor was killed again. Like a ghost, Lu Li disappeared and reappeared. Every time he appeared, he would take away a saint emperor's life. Every now and then, he would take away the lives of warriors. Soon, the city of Evernight was flooded with blood. Chapter 35:15. In the Day City, a shrill announcement resounded across the city. Not long afterward, a muffled bell tolled in the cabinet of patriarchs. The bell tolled 81 times. The entire city was in an uproar. The bell would only be tolled when patriarchs of the Dace race died. Last time, when Luli killed 2 patriarchs of the Dace race, the bell tolled 49 times. Now, 81 times. Didn't it mean that at least 3 patriarchs of the Dace race had fallen? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. When the bell rang, many figures in the manors in the city soared into the sky and flew toward the elder cabinet. The bell was not only an announcement of death, but also an order to gather people. All the higher-ups of the Dace race were alarmed. Even the patriarchs that were in closed-door cultivation came out. Damn Luli, damn him! The clan leader of the Dace race paced up and down in the Hall of Patriarchs in rage. He had thought that Luli had chickened out after a year, and that all the gods of death had left. Little did he expect that Luli would take action again. This time, Luli not only killed 3 patriarchs of the Dace race, but also the hundreds of thousands of warriors and 80 Saint Kings in the city of Eternal Night. All the resources and lands near the city of Eternal Night were looted as well. But that was not the most important thing. What was more important was that Luli had just issued an announcement through a chamber of commerce. He would not stop until the Dace race and the Red Dragon race were wiped out. Anyone that helped the Dace race and the Red Dragon race would be Luli's enemy. Luli had declared war. The Dace race had been forced to be affiliated with the Dace race. But Luli was not going to let it go. He vowed to destroy them. This was too much. The clan leader of the Dace race summoned all the patriarchs for a meeting. Then he made some adjustments. All the resources and lands would be abandoned, and all the patriarchs outside would come back to the Dace city. As for hunting down Luli, the chief patriarch asked the Dace race to go to the Dace race in person and asked them to do it. When the Dace race surrendered, they had agreed that the Dace race must help them kill Luli. They could not kill Luli if they cannot find him. They were frightened by Luli. The 3 patriarchs were in the city. Luli snuck in without anyone noticing, attacked 2 patriarchs, and burned them to death. He suppressed the last patriarch with his supremacy divine weapon and burned him to death. Even though Luli was only at the peak of the Emperor realm, he was terrifyingly strong. He could easily kill warriors that were infinitely close to the completion of the Emperor realm. Almost all of them could be killed in an instant. He had an extremely terrifying flame. That flame was even more terrifying than fire attribute powerhouses. Every elder would not be able to withstand it for a few breaths of time before being burned alive. The Carp clan didn't have many elders left. If they continued to kill like this, the Carp clan would be reduced to a small clan. At that time, forget about rising, it would be a problem for them to even survive. When you didn't have powerful strength but had a huge territory, everyone would be envious. The Gui race would probably even make a move on you secretly. What was more, Luli's announcement was practically a challenge to the Dawns. After the meeting, the Carp clan's head elder brought another elder to the inner realm. The Gui clan's king didn't see him, but the Gui clan's 3rd elder did. 3rd patriarch was enraged as well. Not only did Luli massacre the city of Evernight, he even issued a notice. This was a clear slap to the Gui race's face. 3rd patriarch comforted the Carp clan's chief patriarch with kind words and told him not to panic. The Hall of Patriarchs of the Gui race was discussing this matter, and the Gui race would not stand aside. 3rd patriarch of the Gui race was not being perfunctory. The Hall of Patriarchs of the Gui race was in a heated argument. The chief patriarch of the Gui race was not here, so 2nd patriarch presided over the meeting. The content of the meeting was not whether or not to take action against Luli, but how to do it and how to kill Luli. The more powerful a race was, the more they cared about their dignity. Their dignity could not be challenged. If any random Tom, Dick, or Harry Kane provoked them, then where would their dignity be? How could they command? Therefore, Luli had to be killed. Now it was time to see how. Sending out a clan's completion warrior was, without a doubt, a good idea. Unless it was absolutely necessary, the Gue race would not send out a complete completion warrior. Complete completion warriors were proud. They would not refuse to deal with an opponent of the same level. But to deal with an Emperor realm warrior? The Gue race would feel humiliated, and they would be looked down upon by a complete completion warrior of the Tiangang galaxy. Lu Li made the announcement. There was a deeper meaning behind it. The entire Tiangang galaxy would pay attention to this matter. Many major races would pay attention, and many complete completion warriors would pay attention as well. The more this was the case, the less likely the Gue race would send out a complete completion warrior. That would be a laughingstock, and the Gue race could not afford to lose face. The Gue race had collected information about Lu Li. The chief patriarch of the carp race was called in and told him all the information the carp race had on Lu Li. The other patriarchs of the Gue race said nothing after they heard the chief patriarch of the carp race. Their faces were clouded. They felt they were in big trouble. Lu Li was not so easy to kill. They did not care about Lu Li's abilities. What bothered them the most was Lu Li's hiding skills. The Tiangang galaxy was a vast place with tens of thousands of universes and billions of lives in each universe. To find Lu Li was easier said than done. It was a pity that the Wu race was killed. Otherwise, if they could ask him to find Lu Li, it would be much easier to kill Lu Li. After half a day of discussion, the Hall of Patriarchs of the Gue race made a decision. The Gue race mobilized all their forces. A large number of scouts were sent to the universes controlled by the carp race and the red dragon race. Scouts of the carp race and the red dragon race were mobilized as well. The Gue race would ask for help from more than a dozen major races that had tracking skills. The Gue race offered a reward. Anyone that could find Lu Li could make a request to the Gue race. As long as the Gue race could fulfill the request, and it was not too much, the Gue race would agree. As soon as the reward was issued, the entire Tiangang galaxy was stirred. This was much more tempting than the reward of celestial stones. The Gue race would owe the Gue race a favor. Many major races took action. The Gue race's reward was public, so they could not go back on their word. Many major races took action because they wanted this favor. This was a life-saving talisman. For example, if a major race was in danger in the future and asked the Gue race for help, the Gue race would not say no. Otherwise, the Gue race would break their promise. Therefore, if the Gue race could find Lu Li, the Gue race would be doing them a huge favor. Another example was if a major race had an enemy that the Gue race could not defeat. If the Gue race asked the Gue race to help, the Gue race could wipe out the enemy easily. All the Gue race had to do was to put in some effort to find a person. That way, the Gue race could have a life-saving talisman. The reward was so convincing. Scouts from many major races swarmed over. All of them went to the universes controlled by the carp race just to find Lu Li. Many warriors with special skills and many old demons had come as well, hoping that they could find Lu Li by sheer luck. For a moment, half of the Tiangang galaxy was on the move. They were looking for Lu Li all over the place. Lu Li's portrait and information were spread across the entire Tiangang galaxy. Lu Li was more famous in the Tiangang galaxy than in the chaotic universe, enemies of the entire world. As soon as the reward was issued, Lu Li seemed to have become an unpardonable devil. The entire Tiangang galaxy was filled with enemies. Even the Chamber of Commerce, where Lu Li sent the notice, might not be safe anymore. As soon as he went to the Chamber of Commerce, he would be sold out. P.S. For chapters tomorrow. Chapter 35:16. Interesting. Lu Li was in a small city in a small universe. He used skill of disguise to disguise himself as a warrior of a small race. With his divine transfiguration technique, unless it was an expert who was infinitely close to the Great Circle realm, an ordinary martial artist would not be able to discover his true appearance. He liked to stay in a small city because there were no powerful warriors in the city. Therefore, he could stay in the city without worrying about his identity being exposed. Many warriors in the city were looking for him, but he didn't mind. It had been proven that warriors that were not close to the perfect realm could not see through him. Therefore, Lu Li stayed in the city calmly. He didn't plan to do anything during this time. With so many warriors looking for him all over the world, Luli decided to hide for a while and let the warriors find him first so that they would tire themselves out. With so many warriors looking for him, there would be many disputes in the carp race. Luli decided to give the carp race a headache for a while. Just as Luli expected, many warriors and scouts had sneaked into the universes of the carp race and the Gui's race. A conservative estimate would be that there were at least billions of warriors. They were attracted here by the rewards offered by the Gui's race. At the end of the day, they were here to help the Gui's race and the carp race. Therefore, the Guis and the carp race treated these warriors with respect. They would put up with some minor transgressions. So many warriors were gathered in different universes, searching for Luli. Luli was proficient in disguise. Warriors would wonder if the other was Luli in disguise. Naturally, conflicts and disputes would arise. When two warriors ran into each other in the wild, they would try to check each other out and wonder if the other was Luli. Therefore, situations like this often happened. What are you looking at? What can I do? Try looking again. So what if I look at you? I can F***CK you up. Come on. You are a coward. Boom! Battles broke out in countless universes and cities. It was fine if they were fighting in the wild, but it was more troublesome to fight in a city. There were too many warriors in the city. They could be injured by accident, and a chaotic battle could break out. Sometimes a warrior would yell, "He is Luli." Then, the martial artist nearby did not care about anything else and rushed towards him. After a chaotic battle, the martial artist died inexplicably. This was a common sight in the residences of the Dace race and the Gui race. A group of warriors would carry all kinds of bodies to the residence and say that this was Luli, that he had killed Luli, and that the Gui race should fulfill their promise. There was even a warrior carrying a ferocious beast, saying it was Luli, the real Luli. There were also many demons who took advantage of the chaos to loot. Some of them burned and looted along the way. When they saw a beautiful lady, they would rush over and say that she was Luli. They would then tie her up and drag her to a dark corner for a couple of hours. Finally, they would carry a corpse and say that they had killed Luli and wanted the Gui race to fulfill their promise. Even if they didn't owe them a favor, they would at least give them some celestial stones. There were also some old demons that had their eyes on the treasured lands of the carp race and the Gui race. They even worked in groups. For example, they sent a warrior to impersonate Luli and go directly to a treasure land. Then hundreds or thousands of warriors would swarm in and start a killing spree. They would loot all the treasured lands and then swagger away. They would tell others that it was Luli who did it. After a hard fight, the cunning Luli escaped in a month's time. At least millions of warriors of the carp race and the Gui race had passed away. At least 50,000 Luli were captured and killed to claim the reward. The number of times that Luli was found was hundreds of thousands. The thousands of worlds controlled by the Dace race and the carp race were in a foul atmosphere. The local warriors were complaining. What could the Dace race and the Gui race do? Was he supposed to drive all the martial artists out? How could they find Luli? Some losses didn't matter. As long as they could find Luli, everything would be worth it. Of course, the Gui race still sent out teams of patrols. If there were warriors causing trouble, the patrols would deal with them. The Gui race was a super race. Average warriors wouldn't dare to offend the Gui race. The carp race, on the other hand, was in a miserable state. Patriarchs of the carp race that were close to the consummate realm were too afraid to come out. They were all in the carp city. Saint emperors could not keep the Dace race under control. The warriors that swarmed and realized this as well. They became more aggressive. So many warriors had been looking for Luli for a long time, but to no avail. Many warriors had given up. They thought they might as well go for another round of looting. The trip was not in vain. They had gained something. The Dace race was discredited. Not even powerful warriors that were close to the consummate level dared to come out. So many worlds were defenseless. They were like naked girls waiting for them to do whatever they wanted. More importantly, the Dace race could raise their banner openly, and the Dace race had to treat them with respect. Gradually, more and more warriors realized that while it was hard to find Luli, robbing him seemed easier. They were envious to see so many warriors working together to loot. As a result, a massive looting began. The realms of the Carp clan, as well as their affiliated clans, such as the Crimson Dragon clan and the Peaceful Fish clan, began to suffer crazy looting. In half a month, almost all the resources and treasured lands of the Dace race were looted. The Red Dragon race and the Anu race were worse off. Their major cities were under attack. Many of the Dace race's people died. Many cities were turned into ghost towns. It was a tragic sight. In fact, the enemies of the Carp race were also adding fuel to the fire in the dark. Anyway, when they arrived at the place with resources, they would shout, "Luli is in there." A group of old demons would rush in and kill at will. The place with resources would be looted immediately. Before the remaining warriors had time to report, another group of warriors rushed in and shouted, "Luli is in there. Kill him." By the time the Dace race realized what was going on, most of their resource and treasured lands had been looted. Over half of the warriors and Saint Kings were killed. The Dace race had suffered a great loss. The Dace race issued an announcement at once, warning those warriors with ulterior motives that they would take necessary measures if they dared to act recklessly again. At the same time, the Dace race asked for help from the Gui's race. However, the Gui's race was in a mess as well. Many warriors had lost their minds. They wouldn't care if the Dace race was a super race or not. The Dace race couldn't do anything even if they wanted to. Many of the warriors leading the robberies were close to the consummate level. Luli had killed so many patriarchs of the Dace race. If they were to act together, how could they take care of so many universes? If they were to act separately, they would be cut into pieces by the warriors' retreat. In the end, the clan leader of the Dace race had to give an order to abandon all the resource and treasured lands or seal them off. Warriors and warriors of each universe were to retreat to the major cities of their respective universes. The loss was inevitable. If the resources were gone, then so be it. But if they didn't retreat, the warriors would be gone as well. By then, the loss would be even greater. "Luli, if I can get my hands on you, I will cut you into pieces to vent my hatred." In a castle, the clan leader of the Dace race roared, gnashing his teeth. He turned to Chief Patriarch and said, "Go to the Pung City and try to get the consummate level of the Dace race to come out. If they don't, I don't think we can find the bastard Luli." Third Master. Chapter 35:17. How come things have come to this? Luli was shocked by what was happening at the Dace race and the Dace race. He had thought it would be a mess, but it turned out to be this messy. Luli didn't even have to go out of his way to ask about the news. Many warriors were heading over after hearing about what was happening. They were not going to find Luli but to rob. Everyone was kicking a man when he was down. The Dace race usually enjoyed a high status. Many warriors of smaller races didn't have the courage to mess with them. Now that they had a chance to mess around, they would feel good even if they didn't get anything. They could boast that they were the one who shat on the Dace race back in the day. Most of the martial artists went there just to have fun. It was a grand occasion for all kinds of demons to dance around. Luli lived in a small city leisurely. Death Scouts would send him messages from time to time. He didn't want to take any actions yet. He wanted to let the chaos last for a while. He didn't even have to do anything, and it was already chaotic. If he went out now, maybe things wouldn't be so messy. How could he go and harm the Dace race and the Dace race when everyone was here to capture him? For the next month or so, the Dace race's universe was even more chaotic. Apart from the major cities in each universe, the other places were devastated. At first, the places with resources were looted over and over again. Many mineral veins with a depth of hundreds of thousands of miles were emptied. Now that there was nothing left in the places with resources, the old warriors began to target the smaller families in the small cities. A group of old warriors rushed into a small city and locked onto a relatively wealthy family. Then Gauhan shouted, "Luli is in there." The old warriors rushed in and killed the powerful warriors of the family as if they were watermelons. Then they began to loot. In an hour, the family was ransacked. The other warriors were surprised that this was possible. Many warriors began to stare at the families in the city and shouted, "Luli, where are you going?" Luli is here. Come and attack him. Don't let him get away. Luli, surrender now, or we will kill him. Like an avalanche, the news spread out. Other places followed suit. In just half a month, the universes under the control of the Dace race were all in a tragedy. Almost all the cities were ransacked. The number of casualties was uncountable. This time, the Dace race was really hurt. There were only so many warriors in a big race. How could they manage so many universes? The management at the bottom was basically done by the small families. Now, the small clans at the bottom had either been slaughtered or had fled. Many realms had become empty. The Car clan wanted to cry, but no tears came out. This time, their vitality had been greatly damaged, and it was estimated that it would take several thousand years for them to recover. The Dace race's affiliated groups were miserable as well. They might not be able to keep so many universes. The Dace race's affiliated groups were miserable as well. The Dace race was to have many universes under the Dace race. Their clansmen were all holed up in a city, and this city was constantly activated to prevent any martial artists from entering. Otherwise, this city would have been plundered clean. More than a month later, most of the warriors who entered the Dang clan's affiliated world made a small fortune, and many of them made a windfall. The Lulu, the Li, the Dace to the Dang the race. The clan were the race. The Dace race was not to be messed with, but the affiliated families and groups could be messed with. The law did not punish the masses. Before the Gue race made their stance clear, they could still make some money. Wouldn't it be easier for them to retreat after the Gue race got angry? Immediately, several old demons organized a large group of warriors to go to the affiliated groups of the Gue race. They were smart. If they were the only ones going to loot, it would be too obvious. If they mobilized hundreds of thousands of warriors, the situation would be chaotic. The Gue race would not only focus on them. These old demons robbed the most. They enjoyed it the most and made the other old demons jealous. How could they hide it from the other old demons when they mobilized so many warriors to the affiliated groups of the Gue race? The other old demons were tempted. They began to organize their own armies to go to the other Gue race's affiliated groups. The rest of the warriors saw that they were going. They should go as well. After all, the bird that sticks out gets shot. They were just going to get some leftovers. If the Gue race wanted to kill, it would not be them. What was more, they were going to track down Luli. They were responding to the Gue race's call. They were going to help the Gue race in 1 month. More than half of the billions of warriors of the Carp race went to the Gue race. At first, they went to the affiliated groups and then to the ones ruled by the Gue race. After all, they were going to help track down Luli. They were guests of the Gue race. There was no place they couldn't go. The tragedy of the Carp race began to repeat itself on the Gue race's side. At first, they looted the resources of the Gue race's subsidiary tribes, and then they began to loot the cities. A group of warriors moved like locusts, and wherever they went, not even a blade of grass would grow. Many messages for help were sent. Many clan leaders of minor races swarmed into the cities, accusing the warriors of crimes and asking the Gue race to uphold justice for them. The second patriarch, who was in charge of the daily affairs of the Gue race, was enraged. He sent out many patriarchs to go to different places to suppress the chaos. Those warriors were brought to justice, and all the treasures and resources they had looted were to be spat out. That being said, the Gue race had occupied so many regions. Now, there was looting in every region. There were only about 100 patriarchs of the Gue race. How many patriarchs could there be in each region? The base camp did not need patriarchs. There were so many affairs of the Gue race that did not need patriarchs to handle. Many regions sent 2 or 3 patriarchs to lead armies to suppress the loot and recover the loot. If the Gue race sent out a large number of patriarchs, those old demons might leave or spit out the loot. Did they think they could suppress the Gue race with only 2 or 3 patriarchs? Did they expect the Gue race to spit out what they had taken? Moreover, only 2 or 3 elders had come. Did this Gue clan elder really think that he could make them tremble in fear just by relying on the prestige of the Gue clan? Did they think they could make the Gue race kneel on the ground and hand over all the treasures and resources? Since those old demons dared to come to the Gue race to loot, they must be audacious and lawless. As a result, the Gue race suffered a tragedy. Wars broke out in many places. Patriarchs were killed. Those old demons, in for a penny, in for a pound. After they killed the patriarchs of the Gue race, they began to wreak blood in the major cities of the local regions. Then, they ran away, claiming that it was Lu Li's doing. The Gue race was strong. But there were other major races in the Dipper Galaxy that were more powerful than the Gue race. As long as the Gue race could escape to the regions occupied by the major races, what could the Gue race do to them? 2 months passed. 26 patriarchs of the Gue race were killed. When the news was sent back to the Bi City, even the complete Gue race could not sit still. The chief patriarch issued a notice in person that he would deal with anyone who dared to loot and kill indiscriminately. Since the complete Gue race had given the order, the old demons behaved themselves. They all left the Gue race. Luli stopped looking for more. He had gained a lot this time. It was time to quit. If he went on and angered the Gue race, the gains would not make up for the losses. 3 Patriarchs. Chapter 35:18. Luli could not sit still when he heard that many warriors were leaving the region of the Guis. Now that the warriors were gone, the region of the Guis would not be in chaos. Therefore, it was time for Luli to make a move. He had to mess things up. He sneaked over. He was not far away to begin with. In half a month, he had arrived at the Guis. Then he showed up in the open. He attacked a city and bathed the city in blood. Not only did he reveal his face, but he also released his signature tripod in flames. He wished he could tell all the warriors in the world that he was in the region of the Guis. He said in front of many civilians in the city that if the Guis were to help the carp race against him, then they would have to pay with their blood. Since the Guis wanted to play, then he would play along. Unless the Guis were to send out a perfect warrior, he would kill all the other warriors of the Guis. After he succeeded, he left at once. There were still some warriors that stayed. Some of them recorded Lu Li's words with memory crystals and disseminated the information. The entire Tiangang galaxy was in an uproar when the news spread out. Lu Li, who had been silent for so long, had shown up again. He attacked a city of the Guis and declared that he would play along until the end. But Lu Li's words were skillful. Clearly, he was looking down on the average warriors and patriarchs of the Guis. He was implying that only a perfect warrior of the Guis could kill him. While this would enrage the Guis completely, the perfect warrior of the Guis would have some concerns as well. After all, the Guis were a super race. They had so many warriors that were infinitely close to the perfect warrior. However, Luli was all by himself, and he appeared to be only at the Emperor realm. If the Guis were to send out a perfect warrior, they would be the laughingstock of the entire Tiangang galaxy. The pride of the Guis at the perfect warrior level would not allow them to come out easily unless it could affect the survival of the Guis. Luli said this on purpose. He didn't want the Guis to send out a perfect warrior so soon. In that case, he would be in danger. He wanted to beat the Guis up and then negotiate with them to give up the carp race and allow the god of death to build a base in the Tiangang galaxy. As soon as Luli showed up, many warriors that had left the Guis universe came back. Originally, they were here to find Lu Li, but because they couldn't find Lu Li, they changed their mind and started to rob. Now that Lu Li had shown up, they believed they could return to the right path and join the search for Lu Li. After all, capturing or killing Lu Li could earn a favor from the Guis. Many warriors of major races returned to the Guis territory. The Guis didn't say anything. As long as those warriors did not do anything rash and help to search for Lu Li, the Guis would be happy. In 10 days, tens of millions of warriors swarmed into the universe where Lu Li showed up. With so many warriors searching all over the universe, it was only natural that there would be some minor damages. Occasionally, there would be some disputes and fights. Slowly, some things would start to happen, and the interface would soon become chaotic. Once there was chaos, there would naturally be old devils who would start to fish in troubled waters. As a result, this plane became chaotic because there were too many warriors. Although there were powerful gooeys here, it was not easy to suppress them. Most of the warriors did not act rashly. They were here to help search for Luli. They could not be driven away, could they? Many warriors did have tracking skills. Even though there were some who liked to fish in troubled waters, it was so chaotic that it was impossible to tell who was the culprit. The search had been going on for half a month. The entire place was in trouble. Millions of warriors had passed away during this time. Many of them were killed for no reason. Many places with resources and treasures were destroyed and looted. There were so many warriors, but no one knew who was the culprit. Right at that moment, a message came from a nearby universe. Luli had shown up there. The gooeys had sealed off the universe so that people could only enter but not leave. They asked for reinforcements to track down Luli. Warriors nearby swarmed over. In just 10 days, hundreds of millions of warriors had swarmed into the universe. The gooeys didn't care about that many. More than a dozen patriarchs came to seal off the universe so that the old devils and warriors of other races could go after Luli. The universe was not a particularly large one. Now that hundreds of millions of warriors had swarmed in, and there were already many warriors in the universe, it was a mess. Some of the old devils were not here for Luli. They were here to take advantage of the chaos to make a fortune. As a result, what happened in the universe of the carp race repeated itself. Several old devils were outside a family, shouting that Luli was inside. Then, they rushed in and hacked the family. They took all the treasures and resources and left. It was the same for some places with resources and treasures. Some old devils even went overboard. They pointed at a gooeys at the later stage of the Saint King realm and said that he was Luli in disguise and that they should kill him together. In just half a month's time, this realm had become foul again. The natives inside were suffering unspeakably, but what could they do? To capture Luli, they were willing to pay the price. For the gooeys, they could even destroy the universe, let alone pay the price. Including the warriors that came later, there were more than 1 billion warriors looking for Luli. Among them were more than a dozen patriarchs of the gooeys race. There were nearly 100 warriors that were close to the consummate realm. But they found nothing after more than half a month. Not to mention finding Luli, they couldn't even see a shadow of Luli. They did find many fake Luli. Someone would bring a giant body to the mansion of the city to claim rewards, only to be chased out by the gooeys. The powerful gooeys were confused. When they learned the news, they sealed off the universe at once. Theoretically speaking, Luli should not have had the chance to escape. Why couldn't so many warriors find Luli? There were many powerful warriors that were used to tracking major races, and some old devils were good at tracking as well. Another half a month later, when the universe was almost wiped out, Luli showed up again. This time, he appeared in a large universe, one of the most important ones of the gooeys. There were more than a dozen places with resources and treasures in this universe. Usually, there were powerful warriors guarding them. Luli attacked a place with resources, but not a special one. He didn't go after their patriarchs either. He only attacked a small place with resources and killed more than a dozen Saint Kings and 2,000 warriors. Luli left some alive. Once again, he warned the gooeys not to break their promise and stop hunting him and to stop protecting the Dang race. Otherwise, Luli's attacks would go on. Powerful warriors of the Guam race were enraged. Many patriarchs gathered over there. When the patriarchs arrived, Luli had attacked another small city and revealed himself. This time, the powerful gooeys were excited. They sealed off the universe at once and called for more warriors to search. This time, Luli could not escape. 3 patriarchs. Chapter 35:19. This time, Luli did not leave the universe because he had caused trouble to 2 universes. The gooeys would be suspicious of his intentions. By then, the gooeys might not allow warriors from other races to come to this universe. Therefore, he used himself as bait to attract warriors in so that they could wreak havoc on this universe. As well, many powerful warriors of the gooeys were mobilized, but they did not go in. Instead, warriors from the inside came out and sealed off all the entrances and exits at once. Luli would not be able to run away this time. When many of the Guis came, Luli was still attacking in a small city. Armies and powerful warriors were mobilized. All the entrances and exits were sealed off. Every entrance and exit was guarded by 2 warriors close to the consummate realm and dozens of Saint Kings. The entrances and exits were covered with powerful runes. Only warriors at the consummate realm could come out without making a sound. Same old rules. This time, only entry was allowed, not exit. Average warriors could go in. Of course, 6 tribulation warriors could not go in. Only those of the quasi-emperor realm or special races with tracking skills could go in. This universe was important to the Guis. They did not want the universe to be in a mess. Therefore, they sent fewer warriors in. Even so, in the next 10 days, more than tens of millions of warriors went in. This time, there were many powerful warriors. Many old demons came after hearing the news. There were more than 200 warriors that were close to the consummate realm. Warriors from the vassal races of the Gui race had also arrived in large numbers. It was likely that more warriors would enter this realm in the future. Luli was in this universe, but he did not hide. Instead, he went to the Dharma realm in a mountain. He planned to cultivate in the Dharma realm for half a year or something. He wanted to let the universe have a good time. He believed that at first, the warriors would search for him seriously. But as time went by, they would not be sure. Some old demons would act up. Sometimes, people would want to do it again after doing it once. The old demons would not be able to control themselves. Something was bound to go wrong. As he had expected, at first, the searching warriors were honest and kept a low profile. They each searched an area. They sincerely wanted to find Luli as well. The 8 immortals tried their best to find Luli with their own means. Almost the entire plane had been turned upside down. Even many dangerous places had been flattened. Those old demons were also very law-abiding, searching all over the place day and night. Luli was still in this universe when the powerful Guis came. It meant that Luli hadn't left. Since Luli was here, there were so many powerful warriors with tracking skills. It was impossible that they couldn't find Luli. Although robbing was fun, if they could find Luli, then the rewards would be even greater. A favor from the Gui race, this was too valuable. The Gui race also mobilized their armies and experts to search. Hundreds of millions of warriors searched the entire world for an entire month. He flipped through the entire interface, but found nothing. The group of experts were unwilling to give up and continue to search. After searching for another 3 months, he still did not find anything. This time, it wasn't just the Gui race that was dumbfounded. Even the experts that were chasing after them were dumbfounded. The number of armies and powerful warriors had reached hundreds of millions. Warriors were everywhere. Many tracking races had strange skills, but none of them had found Luli. After searching for so long, many martial artists were a little annoyed. In fact, he had already given up. Luli's art of hiding was too powerful. Perhaps no one could find him other than those at the consummate level. Since they could not find Luli, then they could not waste so much time and effort. They had to find a way to make up for it. Luli was right. After the old warriors did it once, they would want to do it again. They had such a good time looting at the carp race, and now they were having a good time in the small universe of the Gui race. This universe was richer. There were more than a dozen locations with resources, and the treasures inside were priceless. If they could get some, then the trip would be worthwhile. Desire grew like weeds. The locations that were searching for Luli were all sealed up at the moment. There were no powerful warriors inside. As long as they broke the seal, they would be able to easily slaughter the troop stationed inside. At that time, no one would know. Who would know that they were the culprits? The old warriors gathered together and decided to do it. This time, they didn't ask many warriors to go with them. Only 8 warriors that were infinitely close to the consummate level worked together. One of them was a master of sacred inscriptions. They cracked the seal on a location with resources. What happened next was simple. There were no warriors that were infinitely close to the consummate level guarding the place. There were thousands of warriors inside. They were slaughtered by the 8 warriors that were infinitely close to the consummate level. They didn't even have a chance to send a message. They were killed in an instant. After the soldier was killed, the 8 experts began a harvest. They were all top-notch divine medicines inside, and they were of the soul type. They were extremely rare and powerful, and in the 8 major star fields, they were pretty much the best soul divine medicines. There were more than 1,000 herbs here. Some of them were ripe, but the Gui race didn't harvest them. The older the herb, the more potent it would be. That was a great advantage for the 8 warriors. The 8 experts divided up the godly medicines inside. Not only did they harvest the mature, godly medicines, but they also harvested the immature ones. They even harvested the newly grown ones. Those were top-level herbs that could be sold for many celestial stones. After the harvest, the warriors erased the traces and left. They carved some words on the rocks with swords. This is the consequence of going against me. Luli, in less than half a day, the situation was discovered. It wasn't by the powerful warriors of the Gui race, but by the warriors that were searching. When they saw this scene, their faces were immediately filled with shock. Then they quickly spread the news, and soon, countless powerhouses flocked to this place. More than a dozen patriarchs of the Gui race came as well. They were livid and furious to see the valley full of bodies and all the herbs that were harvested. They began to search nearby, but found nothing. Luli had never been here. How would they find him? After 4 or 5 days of searching, the matter was left unsettled. The 8 warriors that were infinitely close to the consummate level realized this seemed to be a good idea. They could keep raiding places with resources and then shift the blame to Luli. There were no patriarchs guarding those places of resources. For them, those places were like naked lambs. They could plunder as much as they wanted and leave behind some words. After all, Luli had been made a scapegoat for so many times. It wouldn't be a big deal. Therefore, the warriors sneaked to another place with resources. They cracked the runes and looted everything. Then, they left some words behind and became Luli's scapegoat. The entire universe was in an uproar. So many warriors were chasing after Luli, but they didn't even see him. Luli, on the other hand, could walk under the nose of so many powerful warriors and loot one place of resources after another. Could it be the work of those old, roasted demons? Some powerful warriors of major races and old warriors were having doubts. Some of them were familiar with this method. It was similar to the Romani demons' methods. Some old warriors were itching to make a move. There were more than a dozen top places of resources in this universe. If they could loot 2 or 3 of them, they would be rich. Let's do it. It didn't matter if it was the Romani demons or not. Many of the old demons had decided to do it. It would be a waste if they didn't do it. They just had to blame Luli for everything. The situation was getting messy. The Gui race wouldn't bite them if they just left after some looting. Master 3. Chapter 35:20. Several days later, another resource location was breached. Similarly, the warriors inside were killed and the resources looted. Still, some words were left behind with Luli's name. The tone was getting more and more arrogant. But this time, many warriors noticed something. The handwriting was different from before. It was in regular script, but now it was cursive. The powerful warriors of the Guam race were enraged. They didn't pay much attention to these details. One of the herbs in the resource location had been uprooted. It could be replanted, but it would take thousands of years for the resource location to recover. Some old warriors noticed this detail. They were already suspicious, and now they were even more certain. These resources were definitely not looted by Luli, but by some old demons. There were only a few thousand warriors guarding those resource locations. It was too easy. As long as they could crack the runes, they could kill the warriors in an instant, and then leave some words saying that it was Luli who did it. It would be a piece of cake. Usually, it was not so easy to loot a resource location of a super race. The situation here was chaotic. This was a godsend. Countless old devils were tempted. This time, there were more than 200 experts who were infinitely close to the Paragon realm and nearly 100 old devils. How could these old devils not be tempted when they saw how easily the Romani devil succeeded? Let's go after Luli. This Luli is so arrogant. He is ignoring us. We will not stop until we catch and kill him. Find him. We must find Luli. If we can catch this bastard, I will skin him alive. Filled with righteous indignation, the warriors of the Guam race rushed to all directions. The powerful warriors of the Guam race were glad to see this. It was a good thing that Luli had incurred public wrath. The warriors of the Guam race would probably fight to the death. Luli would not be able to get away now. In addition to the old warriors, many Saint Emperors left as well. Hundreds of Saint Emperors left with thousands of Emperor Realm warriors. They seemed to be angry. It seemed that they would not retreat until they found and killed Luli. The patriarchs of the Guam race took action. This was a disgrace to the Guam race. So many powerful warriors could not find Luli, and he had attacked a resource location right under their noses. A patriarch suggested, how about we sneak into the resource locations and wait for Luli? I don't think so. Another patriarch said, Luli has amazing hiding skills and senses. I think if we go to the resource locations, Luli will not come to attack us. If he hides, it will be difficult for us to find him. We can go to the bigger resource locations. Once we get the message, we will be in trouble. Sure, let's split into groups of 5 and split up. The elders of the Gue clan spread out and flew towards some of the bigger resources and treasures. However, before they could reach those resource-rich lands, bad news came. The 4 nearby large resource-rich lands were attacked at almost the same time. The soldiers inside were all killed, and the resources were all plundered. 4 resources were plundered almost at the same time, less than 2 hours apart. Also, words were left on all the resources, each one more arrogant than the other. It was as if Luli was going to trample on the Dawns. Patriarchs of the Guam, Luli, went to investigate. The 4 places had different handwriting. Even though they were all carved on rocks with weapons, the handwriting was different. The style was different. If the patriarchs of the Guam, Luli, still could not understand the situation, they would be idiots. How dare you? You are out of control. The patriarchs of the Guam, Luli, were enraged. They searched for the truth at once. However, the old demons did it cleanly. No evidence was left behind. All the witnesses were killed. They were killed in an instant. They didn't even have the chance to send a message. Let's go to the other resource locations. The powerful warriors of the Guam, Luli, came to their senses after a round of investigation. It seemed that if they did not go to help now, the remaining few resource locations would be in danger. Immediately, the group of elders split up and rushed toward the remaining few top-grade resource spots. Boom, 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 boom. As expected, when a team of patriarchs arrived at a resource location, they saw 5 old demons attacking inside. More than half of the warriors were killed. The team of patriarchs was enraged to see this. They didn't care which race the old demons were from. All the patriarchs dashed over and killed. The 5 old demons were stunned. They sensed with psychic power that a group of patriarchs of the Guam, Luli, was charging at them like angry bulls. The 5 old demons were frightened. One of them yelled at once, "My friends of the Guam race, this is a misunderstanding. Luli just came in. We saw it with our own eyes. We are here to capture Luli. Patriarchs of the Guam race, what is the meaning of this? Why are you attacking us? I want to complain to your master. Stop. If you do this, we will fight back. Okay, we are wrong. Let's talk this out. Stop. My lords, this is really a misunderstanding. Stop. We will die if you do this." In a moment, the old demons could not stand it anymore. There were 10 patriarchs of the Guam race, which was twice as many as the Guam race. How could the old demons stand it? Soon, the old demons were injured, but the powerful ones of the Guam race did not stop. They kept on attacking. At this rate, the 5 old demons would lose their lives here. The only thing they could do was to beg for mercy. Begging for mercy was useless. The patriarchs of the Guam race had come to their senses. So, it was not Luli who attacked the land of resources. It was the work of the evil old demons. They felt they were being played and humiliated. What was more, many warriors in the land of resources had died miserably. How could they not be angry? They did not waste any time. They wanted to kill the 5 old demons. Run! The old demons knew that if they did not run now, none of them would be able to. At once, the 5 old demons released their powerful skills and moves to force the 10 patriarchs to retreat. Then, he frantically fled in all directions. However, there were 10 patriarchs here. If they could run away so easily, then the 10 patriarchs would be useless. The 10 patriarchs chased after them. In the end, they managed to capture 3 old demons. 2 of them were good at running away, and they managed to get away. The other 3 were in a miserable state. 2 were killed, and 1 surrendered and was captured. The other patriarchs went to other places of resources and encountered the same situation. Many old demons were attacking those places of resources. News came from different places that many saint emperors were attacking the smaller places of resources. Many of the smaller places of resources were robbed. Lu Li's words were still on them. It was quite ironic. The news was sent back to the Hall of Patriarchs of the Guam race. The second patriarch of the Guam race was enraged. He teleported over with powerful warriors in person. He wanted to teach these audacious people a lesson. Third Patriarch. Chapter 35-21. Almost all the experts of the Gue race came out, swearing to make these reckless experts pay the price. The army of the Gue race was also mobilized on a large scale. Last time, the Gue race's great elder had already said it, but this group of old demons still dared to mess around. Did they really think that the Gue race was a pushover that could be easily bullied? All the entrances and exits were sealed, and many of them were sealed with dozens of layers. It would take at least a few days to break through. The entrances and exits were monitored by martial artists, so it was extremely difficult to escape. The second elder of the Gue race teleported over with the experts and then sent out a message. All the martial artists and experts who participated in the plunder were to immediately come to Chengdu and confess their crimes. This way, the Gue race could be lenient. Otherwise, when the time came, they would immediately kill one person they found. This news spread through the scouts of the Gue race. Many of the Saint Emperors and Thear-cranked experts who participated in the plunder were afraid. They all rushed to Chengdu and voluntarily handed over the treasures and resources that they had plundered, allowing the Gue race to punish them. However, the group of experts who were infinitely close to the perfected realm was not happy. As the supreme experts, they were all proud and did not want to put their fate in the hands of others. Therefore, some experts sent a message through a middleman, meaning that they were also here to help. Some of the experts in the Gue race were allies, so there was no need to make things so awkward. It was enough. They just had to leave. At most, they would hand over the things that they had plundered. The second elder was instantly enraged when he heard these words. They wanted to let it go with just one sentence after robbing and killing. Was there such a cheap thing in this world? Allies? Why didn't they think of allies when robbing and killing? This was outrageous. The second elder sent a message that there was no room for negotiation. Either come over and confess their crimes, or they would be killed without mercy. Once these words were sent out, there was no room for negotiation. This time, there were more than 100 experts who were infinitely close to the perfected realm who entered this domain, including the Gue race, their subsidiary races, and the allies they invited. There were more than 200. Now that the second elder of the Gue race had mobilized dozens of experts, there were 300 experts who were infinitely close to the perfected realm. Of course, this time, there were only a few dozen experts who were infinitely close to the perfected realm. The other supreme experts did not participate in the plunder. Some of them wanted to make a move, but before they could, the second elder of the Gue race arrived. Therefore, they quickly stopped. Many experts who had not committed any crimes naturally came to Chengdu to show that they had not acted recklessly and were good comrades. Half a month later, the number of experts gathered in Chengdu had reached more than 200. Those who did not dare to come were naturally those who had committed crimes. Also, there were already some supreme experts who wanted to sneak out of this world. However, they were discovered when they were trying to decipher the divine inscriptions. When the experts from this side arrived, they immediately fled in panic. The second elder of the Gue race told most of the experts to stay in Rong City. He led dozens of elders and began to hunt down the experts who refused to come to Rome City. It was the second elder's order. Regardless of whether they were guilty or not, if they encountered them, they would capture them first. If they resisted, they would be killed without mercy. This order quickly spread. After all, there were so many warriors here. The news spread quickly. The remaining experts started to panic. If they couldn't escape, were they supposed to just wait for death? Or did he fight to the death with the Gouet race? The group of old devils gathered together and discussed for a while. In the end, they decided to flee for a while to avoid the brunt of the attack. They wanted to see if the Gouet race would really kill them. If they did, most of the warriors here were unruly and unruly. Life was just like 8 words, indifferent to life and death. Fight if you don't like it. It was impossible for them to surrender obediently. They went into hiding in those dangerous places deep in. The thing was, they didn't have Luli's means. There were warriors and scouts everywhere. Where could they hide? The more than 50 old devils were found by Second Elder. There were more than 80 powerful warriors here, and Second Elder had a supreme weapon. When they found them, Second Elder told them to surrender unconditionally. Of course, the Gouet race refused. One of the old devils even launched an attack. A chaotic battle broke out. After a chaotic battle, 12 of the more than 50 old devils were killed. 5 patriarchs of the Gouet race perished. There weren't many old devils left. All of them were wounded. They scattered and fled. What else could they do? Wait for death here? The old devils had no sense of teamwork. All they cared about was survival. When one of them ran away, the others all ran. The remaining 43 old devils scattered in confusion. The Second Elder gave the order to disperse and pursue them, wanting to kill all of them. Second Elder was too angry. Also, he wanted to protect the prestige of the Gouet race. The prestige of the Gouet race had declined recently. So many old devils had caused trouble at the Gouet race's territory. If they were not dealt with seriously, the Gouet race would become the laughingstock of the Tiangang galaxy. In the future, there would be more old devils coming to the Gouet race's territory to make trouble. The bigger the race was, the more they cared about their reputation. Their dignity could not be offended. They must be punished severely. This time, Second Elder made up his mind. He wanted to kill all the dozens of warriors that were infinitely close to the consummate realm. Some of them were patriarchs of allied races, but so what? No wonder the Gouet race showed no mercy if they could do such evil things. Several powerful warriors formed a group to hunt down the old devils. Their lives were at stake. Naturally, they fought back with all they had. The battle became more violent. After more than 10 days, more than 20 powerful warriors infinitely close to the consummate realm were killed. 8 elders of the Gouet race were also killed. Those old devils were not incompetent. In the face of certain death, they would risk their lives to drag someone down with them. The corpses of these powerful warriors were brought back to Chengdu. They were hung on the city walls, dripping with blood. The Gouet race used this as a warning to the powerful warriors in Chengdu. It was also a warning to the entire Tiangang galaxy. This was the fate of those who dared to offend the Gouet race's prestige. Second Elder returned. There were only about 20 powerful warriors left. There was no need for him to take action. He sent dozens of elders to hunt them down. It wouldn't be long before all the remaining old devils were killed. Who would have thought that after half a month, there would be no news of victory? Instead, after half a month, there would be news that 2 elders had been killed, and they had died very miserably with their heads smashed to pieces. 5 days later, bad news came from the Hall of Patriarchs. For patriarchs, jade talismans of life were broken. This time, the scouts didn't find any traces of the 4 patriarchs fighting or their bodies. There were many powerful warriors of the Gouet race that were infinitely close to the consummate realm. There were about 100 patriarchs on the surface. There were some older ones that didn't want to come out. There were more than 150 patriarchs that had been living in seclusion for years. Including the affiliated races, the Gouet race had more than 300. Powerful warriors that were infinitely close to the consummate realm were hard to come by. They could not be achieved with resources. Losing so many at once made Second Elder's heart ache. His eyes reddened. He said with his teeth clenched, "Those bastards should all go to hell. Damn them. Send out my order. Patriarchs of the Chengdu city. Tear those old bastards into pieces." Second Elder. A patriarch hesitated for a moment and said in a low voice, "Could it be? Lu Li killed those patriarchs?" Third Master. Chapter 35:22. The last 6 patriarchs were indeed killed by Lu Li. What was Lu Li's ultimate goal? He wanted to beat the Gui race into submission and ask for peace. In the end, they signed an agreement. The Gui race would give up on the carp race and allow the god of death to set up a branch in the Dipper Galaxy. This was Lu Li's mission. Everything he did was in service of this goal. The Gui race was a super race. Unless their foundation was damaged, they would not give in for the sake of their dignity. Therefore, Lu Li had to find a way to destroy the foundation of the Gui race. What was the foundation of a super race? First, prestige. Without prestige, the Gui race would be attacked by a group. The Crimson Dragon clan and the Gui clan had become like this because their reputations had been swept to the ground. Second, powerful warriors. Without powerful warriors, the race would be like duckweed without roots. It was only a matter of time before they were wiped out. Powerful warriors were hard to come by. Resources could not be cultivated easily. It required time and luck. Saint Emperors were not important. Warriors that were infinitely close to the absolute completion were the foundation of super race. If the absolute completion were to die, then there would be nothing to worry about. The death of 1 or 2 Gui race would be a great blow to the Gui race, and their ranking would drop. If too many warriors that were infinitely close to the absolute completion were to die, then it would be a great loss for the Gui race. Not even the Gui race could afford it. Disrupting several universes and making the Gui race lose some resources and treasured lands was not a detriment to the foundation of the Gui race. Only by killing patriarchs of the Gui race could the Gui race be troubled. Therefore, Lu Li came out after half a year in the realm of magic. He made a decision after he had a look. This was the best situation. The patriarchs of the Gui race had spread out to hunt down those old demons. They were all in groups. This was the best situation for Lu Li to launch a sneak attack. Lu Li didn't have too many concerns. He would kill a group first. According to Lu Li's speculation, the Gui race at the absolute completion would not make a move anytime soon. Only when he had killed too many patriarchs of the Gui race would they take action. Therefore, this time, he wanted to see if he could kill dozens of patriarchs of the Gui race. How could he miss such a godsend? Of course, he was careful. He had been using the traceless way. The Gang Tribe King had said that his traceless Tao should not be able to be seen through by the great perfection stage of the Gu race. Hence, as long as he continued to release his traceless Tao, he would be much safer. At this moment, he was walking through the wilderness in search of the Gui clan's elder. His speed was very fast. Although he had been constantly releasing the traceless Tao, his speed was comparable to that of an expert who was infinitely close to the consummate level. He quickly searched for his target. After flying for more than 6 hours, he heard an explosion in front of him. All right, Lu Li was delighted to hear the sounds of battle. Judging from the fluctuations of the battle, it was clearly a battle between powerhouses who were infinitely close to the completion level. He hurriedly leaned over. He didn't use his spiritual force to probe, just his eyes. Soon, he arrived near the battlefield and saw both sides fighting. Sure enough, the elders of the Gui clan were besieging the old devils. 5 elders besieging 3 old devils. The 3 old devils were in a miserable state. They were covered in injuries. 3 of the Gui elders were injured, and one of them was severely injured. However, they clearly had the upper hand, and it was only a matter of time before they killed the 3 old demons. Lu Li observed the battle on the side. If he joined in, the old devils would definitely win. He was thinking about how to keep the 5 patriarchs here. He decided to wait and see. The 3 old devils would put up a last-ditch struggle before they died. Maybe they could drag 1 or 2 patriarchs down with them. Lu Li watched from the sidelines leisurely. He was still observing the moves of the powerful warriors, trying to figure out how he should deal with them if they were to attack him. After an hour, the battle was coming to an end. The three old demons tried to break out of the encirclement and escape several times, but in the end, they failed. The three old demons were seriously injured and could die in the next second. "Let's die together," one of the old devils roared with laughter. He ignored the spear of a powerful Gue clan warrior. He even took the initiative to rush forward and let the spear pierce through his body. He smashed at the head of the powerful warrior with a hideous grin. At the same time, his eyes glowed as if they were on fire. Surges of powerful soul energy surged into the eyes of the Gue clan patriarch. Boom! The Gue race elder's head exploded, but before he died, he poured his source energy into the spear. The terrifying energy exploded within the body of the Gue race elder. The Gue race elder's body directly exploded. The two supreme experts had perished together. Boom! On the other side, another old devil was killed as well. But the third one fought against two patriarchs of the Gue clan and killed the one who was seriously injured. The old devil was smashed away. Ah ha ha! That old devil was smashed into a pit, but he laughed wildly. While spitting out blood, he shouted, "I can take a patriarch of the Gue clan down with me before I die. I can go to the underworld with a smile." Die. A patriarch of the Gue clan flew over in rage. He swung his saber at the old devil's head. But at that moment, the space around him began to tremble. Then, a hand came at him. Flames expanded from that hand and engulfed him in an instant. Ah! The patriarch was shocked and stepped back out of instinct. But he was already swallowed by the flames. What was the use of stepping back? The other two patriarchs were taken aback as well. They were filled with killing intent. Luli sneaked away as soon as he made his move. As soon as he ran away, two horrifying attacks came at him. Luli snorted. The Gong Huang Ding came out and grew in size, suppressing one of the warriors. "Brother, help me!" That patriarch shouted in shock after he was suppressed. The other patriarch was panicking. The patriarch that was swallowed by the flames had died. This patriarch was suppressed, and he was seriously injured. At this rate, they would all die here. Should he fight or run? The problem was if he fought, he could not find Luli. Should he cut the air? If he ran, would he leave this patriarch behind? If this matter was known, he would be punished when he went back. While he was struggling, the space behind him began to tremble. Then a ball of flames expanded. Suddenly, he did not feel panicked. Instead, he felt relieved. He didn't have to worry about whether to fight or run. He was going to die here. The flames were freaky. As soon as he was enveloped, he knew he would die for sure. There was nothing to worry about. Brother the elder who was suppressed nearby, let out a sorrowful howl. His howl was not only for Elder but also for himself. He knew that he was finished, and no one could save him. Ow! That old demon was about to be roasted by the flames. He witnessed this with his eyes wide open. He didn't run away. He was seriously injured. He couldn't run even if he wanted to. Looking at Lu Li, who was flying toward the tripod, the old demon had only one thought in his mind. Lu Li's reputation was well-deserved. He could kill powerful warriors that were infinitely close to the consummate realm like killing dogs. Maybe Lu Li was the most powerful warrior below the consummate realm. P.S. Yesterday, the old demon updated 4 chapters. But due to technical issues with the website, the update was delayed. You cannot blame him. Also, some chapters were blocked because they were out of bounds. The old demon will edit them in the near future. Third, please give us recommendation tickets. They are free and available every day. Everyone can vote for them every day. Chapter 35-23. After the patriarchs were killed, Luli put away the interspatial rings and relic weapons. Then he looked at the old man. The old man was shocked. He sensed the killing intent in Luli's eyes. He saw Luli flying over slowly. He must be going to kill him. The old man thought for a while and got up. He even dropped to one knee and shouted, "Lord Lu, you are mighty. Thank you for saving my life. I am Fanzong. In the future, If you need anything, just let me know. I will go through water and tread on fire for you. The old man was smart. He put Luli in the role of a benefactor and made his attitude clear. In this way, Luli might let him go. Luli thought about it and said coldly, "Don't tell anyone about me. No matter where you hide, I can kill you. You should know my tracking ability." Of course. The old devil heaved a sigh of relief inwardly and repeatedly said with a smile, "My lord is my benefactor. This old man will naturally obey my lord's words. Even if I die, this old man will not reveal it. Lord, I live in the fan region. If you can get out, just send someone to tell me. I will do my best." Okay. Luli waved his hand and was ready to leave. Suddenly, he thought of something. He turned around. The old man was startled again. Did Luli change his mind? Luli said after a pause, "Tell me that if you want to fight the patriarchs of the Gui race, you better spread out. Or find a way to disperse the patriarchs of the Gui race. I will help you. When we kill more than half of the powerful warriors here, you can gather together and kill your way out." Buzzing, the old man's eyes glowed. Luli's suggestion was tempting. They were trapped in this place, and all the entrances and exits were sealed. If they wanted to get out, they must crack the seal. It would take time. Before they could crack the seal, the powerful warriors of the Gui race would come. Therefore, if they wanted to get out, they must kill a group of powerful warriors of the Gui race. Without killing a group, they would not be able to get out. With Luli's help, it would be easy to kill the powerful warriors of the Gui race. Luli killed the 3 patriarchs like cutting watermelons. Okay. The old man said, "Lord, do you have a plan? Don't worry, we all want to get out alive. They will cooperate with you. No need for a plan." Naturally, Luli would not be so silly as to cooperate with these old demons. What if some of them joined forces with the Gui race? He would be walking into a trap. He said, "Just find a way to separate the patriarchs of the Gui race. The more the Gui race, the better." Gui race. The old freak nodded heavily. Luli's body suddenly disappeared in midair. No matter how hard the old freak tried, he couldn't find any clues. The old warrior exclaimed. Luli's art of concealment was indeed incredible. Perhaps no one would be able to find out unless they had reached the consummate realm. On the other side, the second elder and the others had already been dispatched. Countless scouts had also been mobilized to search for the remaining 20 or so old demons. Under Fan Tsing's communication, the group of old demons all gathered together. Fan Tsing told them about Luli's rescue and Luli's words. The old men were tempted. They realized that if they didn't think of a way, they would die. The problem was they were trapped. They couldn't get out, and they couldn't defeat the Gui race. They would die sooner or later. Now, Luli had opened a window for them. Although this window didn't guarantee that they could escape alive, it gave them a glimmer of hope. There was no room for negotiation between them and the Gui clan. They could only kill their way out of this place. The old men discussed and decided to cooperate with Luli. They would try to separate the powerful Gui race. No matter what the outcome was, they wouldn't lose anything. The patriarchs of the Gui race were chasing them. They had to find a way to escape. It was normal to split them up. The old men discussed for a long time and came up with a strategy. They would form groups of 3 to lure the powerful Gui race away. With 3 in a group, it would be easier for them to coordinate with each other and escape. Their goal this time was clear. They wanted to distract the powerful Gui race. Their priority was to stay alive and avoid fighting the Gui race. Some of the patriarchs of the Gui race were split up. Patriarchs of the Gui race, led by second patriarch, had not arrived yet. After the old men took action, the patriarchs of the Gui race were lured away. They formed groups of 2 or 3 to track down the old men of the Gui race. Luli made up his mind. He knew he had a month at most. He must kill as many patriarchs of the Gui race as he could within this time. Otherwise, in a month, the warriors of the Gui race would be here. Luli moved quickly. Whenever he ran into 1 or 2 patriarchs of the Gui race, he would kill them. The traceless path that nobody could detect, the traceless path of Gong Huang Ding, the horrifying flames, and the powerful liquid of destruction. It was a piece of cake for Lu Li to kill the warriors of the Gui race, who were infinitely close to the complete Gui race. He had absorbed a lot of the black flames at the Flame King Mountain and used a lot. About half of them were gone. When the black flames and the liquid of destruction were used up, he would lose two powerful means. But how could he conserve his strength under such circumstances? He must go all out in order to have a chance to complete this mission. He began his killing spree. Since the powerful warriors of the Gui race had been lured away, Lu Li was having a great time. In merely 9 days, he had killed 16 warriors that were infinitely close to the complete Gui race. In addition, the old man of the Gui race had killed 2 powerful warriors as well. Including the ones Lu Li had killed before, the number of Gui race warriors killed had reached more than 20. There were also the powerful warriors of the Gui race that had died in the battle with the old man. In total, the number had reached more than 30. Not even the major races could have so many warriors that were infinitely close to the complete Gui race. Second Patriarch and the others were on their way and did not know what was going on. The Hall of Patriarchs of the Gui race was ringing. The chief patriarch of the Gui race could not sit still any longer. He asked in person what was going on and why so many patriarchs had died. The Hall of Patriarchs sent a message at once. The patriarchs of the Rome city did not know what was going on either. After Lu Li killed those powerful warriors, he put away the bodies and left nothing behind. The scouts did not know that so many patriarchs had passed away. The patriarchs of the Rome city had to send a message to Second Patriarch and ask him to respond to the Hall of Patriarchs and the chief patriarch. Second Patriarch almost lost his mind when he received the message. He thought about it for an hour and made a foolish decision. He asked the patriarchs of the Rome city to send a message back to the Hall of Patriarchs, telling them that he could handle things here and asking the chief patriarch to give him another month. Usually, the 2 complete Gui race warriors would not get involved in the affairs of the Gui race. Second Patriarch was in charge. Second Patriarch was in a high position and he was powerful. He had a supreme weapon. Therefore, Second Patriarch did not want to send the chief patriarch out for no good reason. Wouldn't that be proof of his incompetence and failure? Second Patriarch wanted to have a try. If he could not kill the old warriors and Lu Li in a month, then he would have to ask for the chief patriarch's help. The group of experts glanced at each other, all of them feeling very innocent. An elder scanned the area with his divine sense and said, "This doesn't seem to be an attack type divine inscription. No, this is a teleportation divine inscription." Beams of light enveloped the experts one by one before they disappeared from where they were. Fear flashed in the second elder's eyes. He felt an inexplicable sense of unease, as if he could smell a conspiracy. He was also enveloped by the light. With a flash of white light, he appeared in a barren mountain thousands of miles north of the Water Dream Swamp. As soon as he came out, he immediately acted as if he was facing a great enemy, fearing that there would be an ambush nearby. He scouted the surroundings, but found that there were no martial artists nearby. Could it be that the teleportation divine rune already existed in the Water Dream Swamp? I have never heard of it. The second elder blinked his eyes in confusion. He quickly flew in midair and activated a jade talisman in his hand, calling the other experts to gather around him. At the same time, he found scouts nearby and asked them to send a message to the rest of the absolute experts, asking them to gather in the nearby cities. After flying for more than 2 hours, he met 2 elders. The 2 elders were also puzzled. They didn't know why they were suddenly teleported away. The second elder was also very puzzled. He brought the 2 elders to a nearby medium-sized city to gather. When they arrived at the city, more than 10 elders had already gathered there. The second elder was slightly relieved. It seemed like they had accidentally activated the teleportation divine inscription in the Water Dream Swamp. Soon, all the absolute experts would gather here. After waiting for 3 days, the second elder realized something was wrong. He realized that there were only over 30 absolute experts in this city. There were still over 20 absolute experts who had yet to arrive. According to the scouts' investigation, More than 10 absolute experts were actually in groups of 3 or 4. They were flying far away, and there were 10 elders who were nowhere to be seen. The second elder quickly asked the scouts to send a message, asking those absolute experts to come back and not to split up anymore in case they were falling into a trap. They waited for more than one day. A scout commander flew over and entered the city. He knelt on one knee in front of the second elder and said in a sorrowful tone, "Second elder, something has happened. There was a battle tens of millions of miles away in the west. When the scouts arrived, they found that 3 elders had already fallen. Swish, swish, swish." The second elder and the group of experts had a huge change in expression. Although only 3 elders had been killed, it meant that this was indeed the enemy's trap. There was still no news of the other 10 elders. It meant that they had probably perished. As expected, after another half a day, an elder from Rome City teleported over with bad news. The jade talismans of those 10 absolute experts had all shattered. This matter had already been reported back to the Hall of Elders. The Great Elder had given instructions that all the experts were not to act rashly. They were all to wait in this city and wait for his return. The second elder also did not dare to send any more messages back. He did not dare to say anything. This was because the number of elders and the absolute experts of the vassal clans who had died in battle had already reached 40 to 50. Among them, the Gui clan had lost more than 30 elders. This was already a huge loss. The Gui clan only had about 100 elders on the surface. Now 1/3 of them were dead. Moreover, there were still 11 elders outside. Who knew if something had happened? If they continued to die, it would shake the foundation of the Gui clan. Perfected experts could not be easily moved. The Gui clan occupied so many realms and had such a large territory. Without experts who were infinitely close to perfected guarding them, there would be a huge mess. Would they have to ask perfected experts to handle such a small matter? On the other hand, if too many elders were killed or injured, the prestige of the Gui clan would also decline. When the great clans saw that the Gui clan was so useless, their elders were so easily killed, then wouldn't they be able to easily destroy the Gui clan if they joined forces? Would they divide up their territories? The other clans that were as powerful as the Gui clan would look down on the Gui clan. In the long run, the Gui clan would continue to decline and eventually be wiped out. Without prestige, everyone would look down on you and bully you. Therefore, the great clans paid special attention to their reputation. Their dignity could not be challenged. This time, the dignity of the Gui clan was not only challenged, but so many of their patriarchs had died. If they did not act with caution, then the foundation of the Gui clan would be shaken. The Gui clan might go into decline or even be wiped out. 3 days later, more bad news came. The patriarchs that went after the Gui clan were killed. Scouts found traces of fire near the battlefield, which proved that Luli was the culprit. Second patriarch sent out many scouts to find the remaining patriarchs and tell them to come back. None of the patriarchs in the city were allowed to go out as well. They had to wait for the chief patriarch to come. Chapter 35:25. Boom! In the wild, a warrior that was close to the consummate level was killed in one move. Luli put away the tripod. Several powerful warriors nearby came over. Fan Sung was here. He cupped his fists and said, "Lord, you are impressive. You killed another Gui so easily. Lord, I think there is another patriarch of the Gui race nearby. Should we go and kill him?" "Never mind." Luli shook his head and said, "Fan Sung, I will go and crack the pattern. Gather up and wait for my message. When I crack it, come with me at once." Fan Sung was surprised. Luli had killed so many powerful Gui race warriors. Second patriarch must be looking for them all over the world. If Luli were to crack the pattern now, he would be walking into a trap. Once the pattern was cracked, the powerful Gui race warriors would be alerted. When second patriarch came, wouldn't Luli and the others all die? Don't worry about that. Find a place to hide. Or you can work together and kill those patriarchs of the Gui race. Lu Li snuck away at once after he sent the message. He believed that the patriarchs of the Gue race were scared out of their wits. For a while, they would not dare to split up or leave the city. It was time for Lu Li to leave after killing so many patriarchs of the Gue race. The consummate level Gue race warriors were coming. Lu Li must take the risk. He flew hundreds of millions of miles away and then flew up to find an exit. He told Blood Fairy to go out while he used the traceless principle. Under the traceless principle, not even the consummate level Gue race warriors could detect him. Therefore, he was not afraid even if the Gue race warriors were here. Blood Fairy went to the exit to investigate. Because Blood Fairy had not deciphered the divine inscriptions, the Saint Emperor guarding outside did not sense her presence. After an hour, Blood Fairy said, "Master, the pattern is a bit complicated. It may take 2 hours." 2 hours? Lu Li was overjoyed. 2 hours was not a long time. It would take an hour to fly from that small city. By the time the powerful warriors noticed, they would send a message to the R City, and then the R City would send message. By the time Second Patriarch came, the pattern would have been cracked. "Crack it," Lu Li ordered. Blood Fairy began to crack the formation. The moment the formation was broken, the divine inscriptions would ripple. The 2 Saint Emperors guarding outside sensed it and hurriedly crushed the jade talismans in their hands. The elders guarding Rong City immediately sensed it. Although there were many supreme experts on their side, most of them couldn't be mobilized by them. Previously, the second elder had damaged the harmony between them. If they mobilized a few of their own elders, they might be killed. Therefore, the guardian elder could only send a message to the second elder and let him handle it. When the second elder received the message, he was in a dilemma. Under normal circumstances, they would rush over as soon as they received such a message. However, he had brought so many elders with him, and almost half of them had died. The great elder had ordered them not to act rashly. If they were to leave the city and fall into a trap again, and another dozen or so elders were killed, then even the second elder would not be able to shoulder the responsibility. After thinking for a while, the second elder still couldn't make up his mind. He could only gather all the experts together to discuss whether or not they should go and take a look. The group of patriarchs argued fiercely. Some of them said that they must go. If the formation was broken and the Asmodeans escaped, then the Guis would be disgraced. The Asmodeans' hands were stained with the blood of patriarchs of the Guis. If they escaped, the reputation of the Guis would plummet. But some patriarchs refused to go. They said that it was a fact that so many patriarchs had died. There were tens of millions of scouts in this universe. How could they hide the fact? The chief patriarch had given the order, and that was the highest order. If they went out and were ambushed, then they would be sinners of the Guis. After half an hour of noise, a scout suddenly came to report a piece of news. The 20 or so old devils had gathered together and were flying high up into the sky. It was very likely that they wanted to escape from this plane. Hearing this, Second Elder could not sit still. He ordered all the powerful warriors to go after the Asmodeans at once. They must not be allowed to escape. Second Elder thought that there were more than 30 powerful warriors, and he had the supreme weapon. As long as he was careful, he would not be ambushed. Could Lu Li build a rune in the air to teleport them away? Second Elder was right. The problem was that he did not expect that Blood Fairy could solve the formation so quickly. Normally, it would take several days to solve the formation, but that was for the average Asmodeans. Blood Fairy's attainment in runes had already surpassed the average warriors who were close to the complete realm. Therefore, when Second Elder arrived at the entrance with a group of powerful warriors, he saw that the rune at the entrance had been broken. Floating in the air were 2 Saint Emperors and dozens of warriors. Lu Li and the Asmodeans were nowhere to be found. According to the scouts monitoring nearby, the Asmodeans had escaped from this entrance. The second elder was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He roared a few times in a row, shaking the surrounding space slightly. The nearby elders were also incomparably furious. Lu Li and the Asmodeans had killed many Asmodeans and looted their resources. They had killed so many Asmodeans and warriors. How could they run away so easily. When the news spread out, the entire Asmodeans would become the laughing stock of the region of Dipper. Luli did leave. He left with the Asmodeans. They flew to a place hundreds of millions of miles away. Luli showed up in the void. The Asmodeans bowed to Luli at once. They were advanced in age, and many of them were masters of their own territories. But they were convinced by Luli. "Thank you, Lord Lu." Fan Tsung took the lead in bowing and said, "I'll say it again. If my lord needs anything, just send a message. We will not hesitate to go through water and tread on fire." The other Asmodeans echoed. None of them wanted to kill Luli and asked the Asmodeans for rewards. They were sworn enemies of the Asmodeans. If they could kill Luli, the Asmodeans would not reward them. Instead, the Asmodeans would kill them. What was more, they were stunned by Luli's unpredictable skills. None of them was sure that they could kill Luli. Luli waved his hand. "You don't have to do anything. I only have one request." Fan Tsung bowed. "Lord Lu, please. Spread rumors and do everything you can to hurt the Asmodeans." Luli said emotionlessly, "You and the Asmodeans are sworn enemies. From now on, I will continue to fight against them. I hope you can all lend me a hand. Make the Asmodeans suffer by any means necessary." Of course. Fan Tsung and the other Asmodeans looked at each other and nodded. If the Asmodeans are not wiped out, or if they are not beaten into submission, they will come to us for revenge. We will do everything we can to make the Asmodeans suffer. It will be the best if we can wipe out the Asmodeans. "Lord Lu," Fan Tsung said after some thoughts, "let's lay low for a while. I think the perfect Asmodeans of the Asmodeans are coming out. They will be in danger if they run into you." Perfect Asmodeans are strong, but they want to find me? In their dreams. Luli snorted. He vanished in midair and floated away. The Asmodeans looked at each other in silence. One of them murmured, "If not even the perfect Asmodeans can find him, then this will be fun. Maybe the entire Asmodeans will be wiped out because of him." Chapter 35:26. Luli and the others had run away. The blockade was lifted soon. It was pointless for so many powerful warriors and armies to stay here. Staying here would only cause destruction. Therefore, when the chief patriarch came and asked about the situation, the chief patriarch ordered the blockade to be lifted. News of what had happened in this world quickly spread. Because it had been sealed, the outside world didn't know what had happened inside. With so many scouts here, the news could not be kept a secret. As soon as the blockade was lifted, the news spread out. The entire Dipper galaxy was in an uproar. They did not expect that so many powerful warriors had died. Those were warriors that were close to the absolute completion, not regular Saint Emperors. The death of one meant one less. Powerful warriors of this level were hard to come by. For all the major races, they were of utmost importance. Many so-called major races only had 3 or 4 warriors that were close to the absolute completion. Even so, they could dominate an area. In other words, during this time, Luli had killed the most powerful warriors of a so-called major race. The Guam race secretly asked some races to spread the word that not too many patriarchs of the Guam race were killed. The outside world was full of rumors. This time, the Guam race killed many powerful warriors as well. Some unruly old demons were killed by the Guam race. A month later, the rumors were proven wrong. Many bodies were found outside a city of a major race. Most of the bodies had been burned, and it was hard to tell who they belonged to. But judging from the bones, it was easy to tell that they were warriors that were close to the absolute completion. Some bodies were not burned and could be identified. Dozens of bodies were piled up in a row outside the city. On a boulder next to the bodies were carved words, "Guam race. Bring back the bodies of your patriarchs and bury them properly. Luli." The place where the bodies were was not the Guam race, but one controlled by a major race. This was outside a big city with many warriors coming and going. When the news spread out, many warriors swarmed out from the city to witness this grand occasion. There were more than 30 bodies here. Most of them were killed by Luli, and some were killed by the old demons. Luli collected them as well, just to create this sensational scene. It was a sensational scene. When the news spread out, many scouts and warriors came to investigate. Some powerful warriors that knew patriarchs of the Guam race went to investigate and found that many were patriarchs of the Guam race. Many scouts that escaped from that universe and the old demons began to spread the news as well. They confirmed that Luli had killed dozens of patriarchs of the Guam race. The news became more exaggerated. It was said that Luli fought against dozens of warriors that were close to the absolute completion all by himself and killed them. Luli had reached the consummate realm, and his abilities were formidable. There was another rumor. Luli fought against the chief patriarch of the Guam race for several days, and he defeated the chief patriarch of the Guam. Some patriarchs of the Guam race tried to stop him, but were killed by Luli. Later on, the rumor became more and more outrageous. It was said that Luli was actually a powerful warrior from the Celestial region. He had offended a realm king in the Celestial region and was forced to come to the chaotic starfield. It was said that Luli was actually a powerful warrior of the realm of chaos who was forced to come to the chaotic star region because he had offended a realm king. Otherwise, how could a warrior of the Emperor realm kill warriors that were close to the absolute completion? How could a warrior of the Emperor realm come and go with ease under the pursuit of billions of warriors? How could a warrior of the Emperor realm leave that universe when a warrior of the absolute completion took action? The rumors seemed to make sense. It was ridiculous that a warrior of the Emperor realm could kill a warrior that was close to the absolute completion. It would be incredible if a warrior of the Emperor realm could kill a Saint Emperor, let alone a warrior that was close to the absolute completion. The rumor became more and more unbelievable. Later on, it was said that the Guam race was on the verge of collapse, and several super races were ready to join forces to destroy the Guam race and divide up their territory. Many of the rumors were spread by the old demons. They were powerful warriors that were very close to the absolute completion. When the war broke out, they were still in that universe. Therefore, their words carried weight. Many warriors believed it, and the news spread quickly. Soon, the entire Dipper Star region was talking about it. The Guam race was enraged. They wanted to refute the rumor, but nobody would believe them. Previously, when they spread the rumor, Luli proved them wrong. Now, many races didn't believe them anymore. The Guam race's reputation was tarnished as well. It used to be a super race with an illustrious reputation. The Guam race didn't even dare to talk about it for fear of revenge. Now, many cities in the Dipper Star region were laughing at the Guam race. They even made fun of the clan leader and chief patriarch. For the super clans, reputation was extremely important. Not only had the Guam race's reputation been tarnished, but they had also suffered a great loss. The clan leader of the Guam race was enraged. He dismissed second patriarch and asked chief patriarch to take charge of the hunt for Luli. It was pointless to explain now. Instead, it would make the other races laugh at the Guam race even more. The only way out was to kill Luli and use his blood to wash away the shame of the Guam race. Also, they could not afford to waste too much time. The longer they waited, the greater the damage to the Guam race's reputation would be. It was a pity that Luli disappeared after he threw out those bodies. The Guam race mobilized many forces to track him down, but to no avail. What was more, the last time Luli was seen was in a universe controlled by a super race. That race was as powerful as the Guam race. The Guam race could not mobilize a large number of scouts to search in a universe controlled by that race. What was more, could the average scouts find Luli? The clan leader of the Guam race was doubtful. Half a month, 1 month, 2 months passed. There was no news about Luli. He seemed to have vanished from the Dipper Star region. The chief patriarch of the Guam race was in charge of tracking Luli in person. Even though he was a consummate warrior, he was not omnipotent. The chief patriarch was all by himself. The Dipper Star region was a vast place. Where could he find Luli? Luli might be hiding in a universe controlled by some major races. Were they supposed to go to those universes to search? Those super races were not something the Guam race could afford to provoke. As time went on, the Guam race's reputation was worsening. The Guam race could not do anything to Luli. A super race could not do anything to a warrior. It was proof that the Guam race was useless. Whatever the Guam race said was pointless. Facts spoke louder than words. Another half a month later, a piece of news came out that completely ruined the Guam race's reputation. A universe controlled by the Guam race was attacked. A powerful warrior close to the consummate realm was killed. A small city was wiped out. Luli even left a message. If the Guam race continues to be my enemy, I will sweep across the cities until all the Guam race and their affiliated races are wiped out. Luli. The message was not important. What was important was that Luli recorded the scene of the massacre in the city and the destruction of the Guam race's warrior that was close to the consummate realm on a crystal. He made tens of thousands of copies and threw them into a major city of a major race. In the image, Luli was standing in a small city with arrogance. Chapter 35:27. The Gue race could not do anything to Luli, while Luli could kill the Gue race. It was clear who was superior. The reputation of the Gue race was already damaged. After Luli's actions, the reputation of the Gue race was even worse. It had reached the lowest point in history. The master of the Gue race held a meeting with the chief patriarch and all the other patriarchs. They believed that if this matter was not handled with caution, the Gue race could be wiped out, not to mention weakening. This was not an exaggeration. According to the information sent by the Gue race's spies in the major races, many major races had held several secret meetings. Some had even sent messengers to communicate with each other. In particular, several major races nearby were having secret discussions. Several major races nearby the Gue race were weaker than the Gue race and were often bullied by the Gue race. Once those major races united, the Gue race would be in danger. Kill the Gue race while they were weak. This was the time when the Gue race's reputation was at its lowest. Once they were under attack, their allies would not help. They would choose to stay on the sidelines for fear of getting themselves into trouble. Therefore, the Gue race must deal with this matter as soon as possible, or else the situation would be unimaginable. After a day of meetings, the Gue race came up with two options. They could either try to kill Luli as soon as possible, or negotiate with Luli. If they could kill Luli, they would be able to deter others and restore the prestige of the Gue race. But where could they find Luli? That being said, the one at the Gue race's level should be able to find Luli. However, Chief Patriarch had been searching for Luli, but could not find him. There were so many universes and the world was boundless. Luli could be hiding in other universes. Where the hell would they go to find Luli? To negotiate, they could satisfy some of Luli's demands and then put on a show to prove that they had defeated Luli. They could also ask Luli to make a statement to salvage some of their reputation. When the Gue race went back to defense, they could work together and survive this crisis. However, to negotiate with Luli would mean that the Gue race had lost and so many powerful warriors had died in vain. The proud Gue race could not let it go. At least, most of the patriarchs did not agree with this option. Of course, some of the patriarchs suggested using negotiation to lure Luli over and kill him. Or they could negotiate for now and then send a Gue race's level to assassinate Luli to avenge the fallen patriarchs. Neither road was easy to walk, and they quarreled for a few days. Another piece of news arrived, infuriating the Gue clan. One of the Gue clan's important resource lands had been attacked, and the two elders guarding there had been killed. Although the two elders' lifespans were about to run out, it was still a great loss and humiliation. In the end, the Gue clan king and the great elder made up their minds. He and the great elder would move out personally, along with all the scouts. They would try to find Luli within half a year. If they couldn't find Luli, then they would negotiate with him. The decision was approved by all the patriarchs. They were filled with hope. It shouldn't be difficult to find Luli with two perfect realm warriors. Recently, Luli had been attacking continuously, which meant that Luli must be in a universe under their control. Warriors of the perfect realm could hide in heaven and earth. If they did not show themselves, no one would know that they were here. Therefore, if a consummate warrior were to track down Lu Li, then as long as he could reach Lu Li's side, there was a good chance that he would be able to find Lu Li. Third Patriarch stayed at the base camp, while Family Patriarch and Chief Patriarch went to different universes to search for Lu Li. During this time, Lu Li was indeed in a universe under the control of the Gue clan. He planned to launch continuous attacks to diminish the Gue clan's prestige. In the end, the major races nearby would unite and destroy the Gue clan. Even the Asmodean that escaped with Lu Li had been spreading rumors. He had been running around to encourage some major races to work together to destroy the Gue clan. Lu Li, on the other hand, needed to use the death of one powerful warrior of the Gue clan to strike at the Gue clan so that the major races nearby would take action. The Drum region. This was a universe under the control of the Gue clan. At the moment, there should be 7 or 8 powerful warriors that were infinitely close to the perfect realm. Some of them were serving patriarchs, and some were probably near the end of their lifespans. They were guarding in some places. Lu Li walked around in this universe, looking for a chance and a target. He knew that the current situation was dangerous, and he could not act rashly. The perfect realm warriors of the Gue clan might be searching for him everywhere. Therefore, he must pick a target and the fight as soon as possible and leave at once. A few days later, he found a place with resources. It was far away from the city and well hidden. There was only one warrior that was infinitely close to the perfect realm guarding this place, but there were tens of thousands of warriors. The security was strict. There were runes everywhere. This must be an important place with resources. Lu Li checked carefully, but found nothing strange. After a while, he was ready to take action. He avoided the runes and snuck into the hall in the valley. He found the warrior that was infinitely close to the perfect realm. When he was at the gate, Lu Li frowned. He remembered something. There were so many warriors guarding the valley. Why was there only one patriarch? At first, Lu Li had thought that this patriarch was the kind that was nearing the end of his life. How come this patriarch was so young? A young warrior that was infinitely close to the perfect realm should be the serving patriarch. A patriarch guarding here was like delivering himself to his doorstep. Leave. Lu Li flew away like a ghost. He didn't dare to kill the patriarch anymore. He could have killed this patriarch if he just threw out some flames. Lu Li's cautiousness saved his life. For days after Lu Li left, a man came out from the hall. It was the chief patriarch of the Gue clan. Chief Patriarch's eyebrows were long, and he seemed to be in a bad mood. The patriarch sitting in the hall opened his eyes, stood up, and said, "Chief Patriarch, we have been waiting for so many days. Maybe Lu Li is not in this universe. Waiting like this is not a solution." Chief Patriarch sighed in worry. He did not know that Lu Li came to the valley 4 days ago, but did not do anything. Chief Patriarch thought about it with a frown and said, "Let's wait for a few more days. Maybe he will bite the bait. We have to wait for him now." Report, right at that moment, a Saint Emperor flew in. He dropped to one knee in front of Chief Patriarch and said with sorrow, "Chief Patriarch, the Field Willow Valley is under attack. 2 senior warriors were killed and over 10,000 warriors were slaughtered. All the herbs in the valley were harvested." "Bastard!" Chief Patriarch bellowed. He flew away like an eagle toward the Field Willow Valley at a horrifying speed. It would take an average Saint Emperor more than 10 days to fly over. However, Chief Patriarch arrived in half a day. There were scouts all over the valley, and there were scouts all over the surroundings as well. Chief Patriarch did not reveal himself. Instead, he merged with nature and tried to sense the surroundings. He searched with a radius of hundreds of millions of miles, but to no avail. Either Lu Li was gone, or he could not find Lu Li. The 2 conclusions made Chief Patriarch even more furious and frustrated. He wouldn't be so upset even if there were 2 or 3 warriors at the absolute peak of the Gue clan. Lu Li was elusive. Nobody could find him. The Gue clan had so many universes, so many resources, so many cities, but they only had 2 at the absolute peak of the Gue clan. How could they take care of all of them? Waiting for a hare to come to them was a good idea. The problem was that they had to wait for too many universes. The hare was too cunning. At this rate, the Gue clan would be doomed sooner or later. Chapter 35:28. For the next 3 months, the clan leader and the chief patriarch wandered around. They would guard some cities and locations of resources from time to time. Unfortunately, they could not capture Luli even once. Luli went on to destroy 5 locations in 3 months. Once again, he destroyed 4 locations of resources and a city of the Guis. He killed 4 warriors that were close to the complete perfection realm, more than 100 Saint Kings and hundreds of thousands of warriors. Luli's actions were irregular. This time, he would go to a region. The next time, he would go to an affiliated region of the Guis. The next time, he went to the main region of the Guis and slaughtered a city. As Luli carried out his actions, more and more rumors came out, none of which were favorable to the Guis. During this time, the Guis had become the laughingstock of the other races in the Tiangang galaxy. The entire galaxy was talking about the Guis. They were talking about how Luli destroyed another city of the Gue race. How many patriarchs were killed? How many tables did the clan leader of the Guis smash? And how many scouts did he kill to vent his anger? Usually, warriors of smaller races would not even mention the name of the clan leader of the Guis for fear that the Guis would hear about it and seek trouble. Now, even a warrior of the 5th or 6th tribulation was talking nonsense in a tavern in the city. He said that the clan leader of the Guis was useless, that the chief patriarch of the Guis was useless, that he could not even capture or kill an Emperor Realm warrior. The major races near the Guis were getting closer. They had been plotting for a long time, but never had the courage to take action. The major races had 2 warriors at the complete perfection realm in total. They had more warriors that were close to it than the Guis. That being said, the Guis had been famous in the Tiangang galaxy for many years. The other races were terrified of the Guis. What was more, the Guis had 2 powerful allies, which were also super races. If the 2 allies were to take action as well, the Guis would not be able to escape destruction. Therefore, the Guis had been waiting for a chance. At the same time, they were secretly contacting the 2 super races. As long as the 2 super races supported them, they could take action. However, the 2 super races had not given a clear answer. The Guis had to bide their time. Luli was still making a scene. As time went on, the Guis' reputation was getting uglier. The Guis had more and more chances. Patriarchs of the Guis were being killed, and the Guis were being weakened. This was good news for the Guis. They reckoned that the 2 super clans were also waiting. After all, the conditions they had given were that they would occupy the Gue clan's territory and would have to offer a huge amount of resources every year. Luli, kill more of them. It would be better if you can kill a clan leader or a chief patriarch of the Ruar race. Many powerful warriors of the major races were praying to themselves. If Luli could really kill a warrior at the consummate realm, they would take actions right away and wipe out the Duans. Of course, they knew it was impossible. Luli was so capable. Why would he do this? The Gue race had long been destroyed by him. The morale of the Gue race was extremely low. Many elders did not dare to leave the main camp. Even some of the older elders who were nearing the end of their lifespans wanted to leave. Although they were about to die, they could still live for hundreds or thousands of years. They didn't want to die without knowing why. The chief patriarch and chief patriarch were losing their minds. Day and night, they searched for Lu Li all over the world. But they couldn't even see Lu Li's shadow. They were starting to wonder, could it be that they couldn't see through Lu Li's art of stealth? Otherwise, it would have been impossible for them to not even catch a glimpse of his shadow after tracking him for several months. If they really couldn't see through Lu Li, then what was the point of tracking him? Recently, they had been receiving information that several major races nearby had been conspiring. Patriarchs of high statuses would come out in person and gather together. Covert as it was, the Gue race's spies still managed to get the information out. The chief patriarch and chief patriarch of the Gue race were panicking. Their allies had been behaving ambiguously. The Gue race asked the two allies to send over patriarchs and scouts to help, but the two allies found excuses to decline. This worried the Gue race. If the major races nearby were to unite and attack, the Gue race would not be far away from extinction. Even if the Gue race survived, it would be greatly weakened. The Gue race had occupied a large territory. They occupied a lot of territory. Once their vitality was greatly damaged, it would attract the attention of countless evil wolves. Countless large clans would swarm over and finally kill the Gue clan. At that time, the Gue clan would not be able to retreat even if they wanted to. 2 more months. The chief patriarch and chief patriarch of the Gue race met up. They had a discussion and decided to pursue Lu Li for another 2 months. If they could not find Lu Li by then they would have to make peace with Lu Li. The Gue race would have to retreat. Also, they had to talk to their allies as soon as possible. They had to give up some of their interests in order to stabilize the alliance. As long as the Gue race could hang on and rest for a while, the Gue race would be able to rise again sooner or later. The lost prestige could be made up over time, and the patriarchs that had passed away could be nurtured. As long as the territory and the race were still there, everything else would be fine. The two warriors at the absolute completion of the Gue race went through one universe after another without a moment's rest. They did not wait around. They just wanted to try their luck and see if they could run into Lu Li. The more they searched, the more likely they were to run into Lu Li. Soon, a month passed by. They still could not find Lu Li. But during this time, Lu Li did not take any actions. He had quieted down and was hiding in some corner, observing coldly. The chief patriarch and chief patriarch of the Gue race were about to lose their minds. They were exhausted after a month of frantic searching. Physical exhaustion did not matter, but mental exhaustion. Lu Li had indeed gone into hiding. He was not in the Dharma realm. Instead, he had gone to a universe of a major race nearby. He sensed danger. He could not go on for fear that something might go wrong. As time went on, the reputation of the Gue race would deteriorate. He could afford to wait, but the Gue race could not. Another month passed. The chief patriarch and chief patriarch of the Gue race gave up. Right at that moment, Lu Li happened to attack a place with abundant resources. The chief patriarch of the Gue race had lost interest in going after Lu Li. He knew that he would not be able to find Lu Li. Apart from wasting time, it would be pointless. The chief patriarch of the Gue race contacted the scouts of the god of death directly and told Lu Li that he wanted to talk. He wanted Lu Li to stop at once. The god of death sent out some top-level scouts to lurk in the Dipper galaxy. The Gue race could not find Lu Li, but they did find some scouts of the god of death. The Gue race did not capture the scouts. Instead, they kept an eye on them to see if they were in contact with Lu Li. It just so happened that the scouts of the Gue race had found the scouts of the god of death and relayed the chief patriarch of the Gue race's message. The scouts did not dare to be careless. They passed on the message to Clan Master Lu, who sent the message to Lu Li through the special channel of the god of death. A few days later, Lu Li received the message. He was relieved. After such a long time and taking such a risk, he had finally beaten the Gue race into submission. Using his own strength to subdue a super clan, and at his level at that, it was probably unprecedented, right? Chapter 35-29. Since the Guam race wanted to negotiate, Lu Li could not go on. He stopped at once and left the universe of the Guam race. He chose to go to a nearby universe of a super race to conduct the negotiation remotely. Lu Li was not stupid. He would not go there in person. What if he was killed by a complete warrior of the Guam race? He would not meet with Commander Lu either. Since the Guam race could find the scouts of the god of death, then the scouts would not be safe. Lu Li could not meet with Commander Lu. He asked Blood Fairy to build a special messaging altar for the god of death. Lu Li sent a message back to the god of death and asked him to contact Commander Lu. It was troublesome, but safe. As long as the Guam race could not locate him, as long as he was alive, then the Guam race would have to give in and accept their terms. Emperor Li and Emperor Mo were thrilled when Lu Li sent the message. Emperor Mo wanted to come in person. Naturally, he wanted to experience such an exaltation. However, Lu Li told Emperor Mo not to come, fearing that the Guam race would cause trouble. Anyway, Lu Li could negotiate remotely with Commander Lu. Commander Lu asked the Guam race to come to a city of a major race, the Happy City. The Guam race attached great importance to this. They sent 3rd Patriarch and 4th Patriarch to host the negotiation in person. In a castle, 3rd Patriarch was upset when he saw that there was only a Saint King at the later stage. He shouted angrily, "Where's Lu Li? Why is he not here? Didn't we ask him to come?" Commander Lu answered with a smile. "Emperor Lu has something to deal with. He asked me to negotiate on his behalf. Where's the leader of the God of Death?" 3rd Patriarch was unhappy. "I am the 3rd Patriarch of the Guam race. I am in charge of all the affairs of the Guam race. The God of Death must send someone of equal status to me to negotiate." "I am sorry." Commander Lu bowed. "The other leaders are busy as well. It will take them at least half a year to come from the chaotic universe region. Are you sure you want to wait for half a year? How dare you?" 3rd Patriarch was enraged by Commander Lu's sarcasm. He was a warrior that was infinitely close to the consummate level and the 3rd Patriarch of the Guam race. He had a high status and a great reputation. He did not even care about the leader of the God of Death, let alone this Commander Lu. How could a Saint King laugh at him? He immediately said with a murderous look, "Aren't you afraid of death?" Hall Master Lu did not mind at all. He beamed and said, "Of course I'm afraid of death. However, our death god can easily find a bunch of people on my level. Thus, killing me would not do the Gue race any good. Instead, it would bring about many disadvantages. Our Lu Huang does not have a good temper. Courting death, a puny Saint King actually dared to mock them time and time again." The 3rd Elder's killing intent immediately surged out, causing the entire castle to turn into an ice house. If it weren't for the fact that the castle had activated its divine inscriptions, the experts of the city would have been alerted long ago. Patriarch 4 stopped Patriarch 3, who was about to lose his temper. Patriarch 4 said, "You can represent Lu Li. Can you represent death?" Hall Master Lu nodded seriously and said, "Of course. This is a message from our Death God headquarters. Please take a look." Hall Leader Lu handed over a letter. The 4th Elder took it and glanced at it before handing it over to the 3rd Elder. The 3rd Elder glanced at it and coldly snorted. "What can this letter represent? What if your Death God and Lu Li don't agree with us? Then there is no other way." Hall Master Lu shrugged his shoulders and said, "If you want our headquarters to send messengers over, you will have to wait for at least half a year. If you want to wait for half a year, I don't mind. Let's talk after that." Half a year. Patriarch 4 put on a bitter smile. The Death God could afford a delay, but the Gue race could not. If they could not reach an agreement with Lu Li soon, then they would not have the time to ally with their allies to suppress the major races nearby. They would not have the time to reorganize their internal affairs and stabilize their race. Patriarch 4 thought about it and said, "Okay, let's get started." Hall Master Lu nodded and said, "Okay, you can state your demands first, and then we will state ours. Let's see if we can reach an agreement." Patriarch 4 took out a piece of paper and said, "First of all, Lu Li must leave the Dipper Star region and promise that he will never set foot in the Dipper Star region again. He must issue a notice to apologize to us. Second, your Death God must issue a notice to admit his mistake, apologize, and compensate us for our losses. Third, your Death God will leave the Dipper Star region forever. In exchange, the Gue race will not pursue this matter and will not attack the Death God again. We also promise that we will not attack the headquarters of the Death God." The conditions were simple and clear. There were 3 in total. The Death God had made a promise as well. Hall Master Lu smiled after listening. He blinked his eyes and asked, "Are you serious? What do you mean?" Patriarch 3 glared at him and said, "Are we here for fun? We 2 patriarchs have traveled thousands of miles just to have some tea with a Saint King like you. I am a Saint King, but I have many things to deal with. The smile froze on Commander Lu's face. He stood up and said, "If these are your conditions, then I think we can call an end to this negotiation. I am afraid that if Emperor Lu learns about these conditions, he will give the order to cut off my head. Emperor Lu has a bad temper. There is no room for negotiation. You're not sincere. There is no need to talk. My lords, please take a seat. I will leave now." Once he finished speaking, Commander Lu walked out without a trace of pretense. He looked like he was about to leave. The two patriarchs exchanged a bitter look. They also knew that these conditions were a little too much. However, in a negotiation, shouldn't both parties first set out a bunch of conditions that were beneficial to them and then slowly wrangle before finally reaching a consensus? The Death God, the negotiator, did not even try to negotiate or mention the Death God's conditions. Instead, he wanted to call an end to the negotiation. This was not normal. The two patriarchs became awkward. Patriarch 4 hesitated for a moment, coughed twice, and said, "Hall Master Lu, please wait a moment." Hall Master Lu had already walked to the door and was about to open the divine patterns to leave. He turned and said, "Fourth Elder, do you have any other instructions?" Patriarch 4 smiled awkwardly and said, "We have indeed come with sincerity. If you have any requests, you can mention them. If you're not satisfied with our conditions, you can also rebut them. Of course, we cannot compromise on our principles. Otherwise, there is no way we can negotiate." Commander Lu narrowed his eyes and asked, "Then what are your principles? Let me see if we can accept your conditions in principle. If we can continue to negotiate. If we can't, then there's no need to negotiate anymore, right?" What? The two patriarchs did not expect Commander Lu to be so difficult to deal with. If they were to state their bottom line, then wouldn't their trump card be exposed? By then, the Death God would be able to negotiate however he wanted. This Saint Emperor was not that powerful, but he was good at negotiation. Of course, the two patriarchs knew very well that the Saint Emperor was so good at negotiation because he was fearless. Luli could afford to stall, but the Gui race could not. Therefore, Luli was not in a hurry to negotiate. The Gui race could not kill him. Third Patriarch. Chapter 35:30. After a moment of silence, Patriarch 3 and Patriarch 4 said, "Let's state your terms first." Master Lu did not waste any more time. He said frankly, "We have 4 terms. First, you announce that you will abandon the Dang race and promise that you will no longer be our enemy. Second, from now on, you must not attack our branches in the Tiangang galaxy. You must do your best to protect them. If something goes wrong, you must help us suppress it. Third, we will build a Hall of Valor in a base to pay tribute to our fallen warriors and warriors. You must send a patriarch to kneel and kowtow. Fourth, you must compensate us with hundreds of trillion celestial stones or the same amount of treasures. In return, Lu Huang will leave immediately and will not attack the Dang race again." The terms of the God of Death and the Dang race seemed to be similar. What was more, both sides agreed not to attack each other, which was quite funny. Hearing the terms, Patriarch 3 and Patriarch 4 turned ghastly pale. Once again, Patriarch 3 was filled with killing intent. He slapped the table and said, "This is outrageous. This is outrageous. You, the God of Death, attacked our affiliated race, the Dang race. How many patriarchs and warriors have you killed, and how many resources and lands have you destroyed? How dare you make such outrageous demands? I will give you a piece of advice. If you push us too far, the Dang race will send out a powerful warrior and destroy the headquarters of the God of Death. All of you will die without a burial place." Even though Master Lu was only a Saint Emperor, he was not frightened by Patriarch 3's killing intent. He even ignored Patriarch 3. He knew one thing clearly. Lu Li told the God of Death to pass this message to him. The fact that the Dang race had chosen to negotiate meant that their situation had deteriorated to a point where the survival of their race might be threatened. Otherwise, they would not have asked for peace. The super races were proud. They had dominated for 1,000,000 years. They had always been the bully, and no other race dared to provoke them. If they had a choice, How could they put down their pride and dignity to negotiate? Therefore, Hall Chief Lu was very calm in his heart. The third elder was obviously playing the role of the bad guy. One hit and one pull. This was a negotiation technique. Master Lu turned to Patriarch, for who said with determination, "Your terms are outrageous. We cannot accept them. We have a chance." Hall Chief Lu's heart became even calmer. If the fourth elder also slammed the table and wanted to leave, wanted to end the negotiations, then things would become troublesome. Since the fourth elder said this, it meant that they could accept some of the conditions. As long as they relaxed some of the conditions, the negotiation would be successful. Of course, they would try their best to fight for their own interests. Hall Leader Lu smiled and said, "Don't be angry, third elder. The real headquarters of the Grim Reaper can't be found in the chaotic starfields, so it's meaningless for you to go there. We're here to negotiate, and we're all here with a peaceful and friendly heart. Don't go to war at the drop of a hat. How about this? I'll go and argue with the Death God headquarters to reduce the compensation by half. What about the other rules?" The Grim Reaper's demand of 100 trillion celestial stones was actually intentional. It didn't even matter if they didn't pay a single celestial stone. What the Grim Reaper wanted wasn't celestial stones or resources, but to make the Gue race lower their heads. This way, the name of the Grim Reaper would resound throughout the 8 major starfields, which would be of great help to the Grim Reaper's future expansion and development. Celestial, sure, this is not a problem. The fourth elder waved his hand and said, "If you can nullify the first 3 conditions, we can compensate you with 500 trillion celestial stones. How about it?" The Grim Reaper and the Gue race were rich and imposing. They didn't care about celestial stones or resources. As long as they had their territory, wouldn't it be easy to get celestial stones? The fourth elder thought for a moment and added, "The first condition is impossible. We can give up on the carp race, and we can also sign an agreement to no longer be enemies with the Grim Reaper. However, you don't even need to think about making an announcement. The third condition is for our elders to kneel and kowtow. You don't even need to think about this condition. These are all principles, and there's no need for discussion." Hall Leader Lu was delighted. The fourth elder only refuted a part of the 2 conditions, and it seemed like there was still room for discussion. He frowned and pondered for a moment before saying, "Then, according to the fourth elder, how should we change these conditions? Let's make some concessions." The fourth elder pondered for a moment and said, "If the Grim Reaper wants to open up in the heavenly Dipper Starfield, sure. We can also guarantee your safety in secret. Of course, if the Grim Reaper provokes the super races, we will not be able to do anything. Assassins from a Grim Reaper must not attack the Gue race. Luli cannot step into the heavenly Dipper Starfield again. Also, Luli must make an announcement to apologize to the Gue race. Third, we will give you resources equivalent to 500 trillion celestial stones." Patriarch 4 did make a lot of concessions, and it was sincere. He was close to the bottom line that Luli had set for Hall Leader Lu. Hall Leader Lu continued to wrangle to see if he could get more benefits. In the end, the heated discussion lasted for an entire afternoon. Patriarch 3 pounded the table for several times. The Gue race made some concessions again. For example, the compensation was in the trillions of celestial stones, and the Gue race could give a small universe near the carp race to the Grim Reaper as a base. Hall Leader Lu left in satisfaction, but he didn't say yes right away. He said that he needed to ask his superiors and that it would take a few days. He asked the 2 patriarchs to wait. Hall Leader Lu sent the news back to the Grim Reaper. The other leaders were thrilled. Not only did Luli win, but he did so in such a beautiful way. Luli made the proud and powerful Gue race lower their head and offer so much compensation. This was an unprecedented victory. Emperor Li planned to send a message to Hall Leader Lu at once to ask him to agree to the negotiation, but Emperor Mo refused. He said that he must send a message to Lu Li first and ask for his opinion. Emperor Mo's words were vague, but his meaning was clear. This was all Lu Li's contribution, and Luli must make the decision. Emperor Yu and Emperor of Wings, who had rebuilt their bodies, agreed and said that they should send a message to Luli first. The other two leaders also said that they could not make the decision on their own and that they should ask for Luli's opinion first. Emperor Li and Emperor Yu looked at each other. Somehow, they had a feeling, without knowing it, Luli had become the leader of the 10 leaders. That being said, in terms of contributions to the Grim Reaper and in terms of combat abilities, Luli did surpass all the leaders. If it were not for Luli, the Grim Reaper would have been destroyed by the Gue race. If it were not for Luli, the Grim Reaper would not have become one of the 12 masters of the Chaotic Star region. Apart from Luli, who else could defeat the Gue race on their own? All the leaders would be killed, let alone Luli. How could they fight against two at the absolute completion of the Gue race? Phew. Emperor Li breathed in relief. He suddenly remembered how long it had been since Luli joined the Grim Reaper. When Luli joined the Grim Reaper for them, he was just a young elite that could be trained. How many years had it been? Luli had surpassed them in all aspects. That was how the world worked. Third Master. Chapter 35-31. Luli was not surprised when he received the news. He had learned from the old demons that several major races were working together to attack the Gue race. The Gue race had no way out. Apart from making peace with Luli, there was no other way out. If they didn't make peace with Luli, then what awaited them would be complete annihilation. Luli thought for an hour and then sent a message to the God of Death. He asked them to tell Master Lu that he wanted to add another condition. The Gue race could not enter the chaotic universe and could not attack any of the God of Death unless the God of Death broke the contract first. Otherwise, the agreement would be voided and Luli would seek revenge on the Gue race. Luli did not want the Gue race to seek revenge on the God of Death after the situation was stabilized. If the Gue race were to sneak into the Tianyu city, the Lu family would be wiped out, not to mention everything else. Therefore, Luli added this condition to warn the Gue race that if they acted recklessly, he would as well. By then, it would be a lose-lose situation for both sides. Master Lu relayed Luli's words to the two patriarchs of the Gue race. The two patriarchs did not say anything and agreed readily. They must deal with the current crisis. As for the future, they would deal with it later. When the Gue race grew stronger or had the chance to deal with Luli, they would not care about the agreement. If the Gue race could not survive this crisis, then there would be no breach of contract. The Gue race also proposed another condition, which was for Luli to put on a show. For example, he would be surrounded by the powerful Gue race and then run away with injuries. Then, he would make another announcement, which would be more credible. It would prove that the Gue race had won and restore some of their reputation. Of course, the Gue race would not let Luli work for nothing. They would give him another 200 trillion celestial stones and other resources. Master Lu could not make the decision on his own. What if this was a trap set by the Gue race? He had to send the message to the God of Death, who then told Luli. Luli was amused. The Gue race really cared about their reputation. Master Lu said readily that they could put on a show, but he would direct it himself to save face for the Gue race. But 200 trillion was not enough. They must add 500 trillion. He would hire some old demons to pretend to be the Gue race and record it with a memory crystal. All in all, it would prove that he was defeated by the Gue race. The third and fourth elders of the Gue clan discussed for a while and decided that this was the only way. However, they wanted Luli to guarantee that his acting was real. Otherwise, not only would they not give him 500 trillion, they wouldn't even give him the previous 1,000 trillion. When Luli received the news, he immediately contacted Fansung and found 7 or 8 demons to put on a show. These old demons all knew some disguise techniques, so it wasn't a problem for them to disguise themselves as the Gue race. In any case, it was just an act. It was fine as long as the memory crystal couldn't tell. In a wasteland, Luli was covered in blood. Behind him, 8 powerhouses who were infinitely close to the consummate level were madly chasing him. Luli, you bastard. You have been hit by my family patriarch. All your bones are shattered, right? Surrender. You can't escape. Luli, surrender now. We are tolerant. As long as you surrender, we will give you the position of a patriarch. Luli, if you don't surrender, we will have no choice but to kill you. My king takes pity on you for being a talent. Otherwise, he would have killed you long ago. Don't be so shameless. Luli, you won't be able to escape. Our clan's great elder has already arrived at this realm. If you continue to be stubborn, you will die, right? Surrender to the Gue race, and we will guarantee you a lifetime of prosperity. We can give you the position of the 18th patriarch, which is a high position. The group of old demons roared incessantly, and there was a memory crystal that had been placed nearby to record this scene, including their voices. Everything was real. Luli's breaths were in a mess. He was bleeding, his face was pale, and his eyes were filled with fear. Everything was perfect, okay. After a while, Luli waved his hand and said, "Brothers, thank you for your hard work. When the Duan race compensates, I will ask the god of death to send you 200 trillion celestial stones as a token of appreciation. I hope you will keep this a secret. Thank you. Lord Lu, you are welcome. Lord Lu, you don't have to worry about the resources. You have saved our lives. This is not a big deal. It is not worth mentioning." Right. The old demons said politely. They respected and awed Lu Li from the bottom of their hearts. Not even a warrior at the Absolute Realm could have beaten the Gue race into submission, not to mention Lu Li, a warrior at the Great Emperor Realm. It would be impossible for an average warrior at the Absolute Realm to beat the Gue race into submission. The warrior might even be killed. Lu Li had done what many warriors wanted to do, but could not and dared not to. Therefore, the old demons respected him. Lu Li did not waste time. He sent a message to Fan Song and then left. Lu Li asked Fan Song to send someone to deliver the memory crystal to the Gue race. Soon, the Gue race received the crystal. They made tens of thousands of copies and distributed them to other universes. The information about the crystal spread quickly. Not long afterward, Lu Li's notice came out as well. He sincerely apologized to the Gue race and stated that he would never set foot in the Diangong universe again. He hoped to reconcile with the Gue race and no longer be hostile. He sincerely hoped that the god of death and the Gue race could live in peace and be friends for generations to come. As soon as the notice came out, the Diangong universe was in an uproar. Most warriors thought it was fake. Lu Li was a man of unyielding character. How could he issue such a cowardly notice? What was more, Lu Li was not captured or killed. Knowing him, he would not admit defeat. He would continue to fight. Many universes booed. Clearly, they did not believe it. But 4 to 5 days later, many memory crystals came out. It was Lu Li's recording. He apologized to the Gue race in a sincere tone, begged for their forgiveness, and hoped that the god of death and the Gue race could live in peace. He also expressed his willingness to form an alliance with the Gue race on behalf of the god of death. When the news spread out, the Diangong universe believed it. If it were fake, Lu Li would have refuted it. Of course, there must be something fishy. Many warriors wondered if the Gue race had gone to the headquarters of the god of death. Otherwise, why would Lu Li admit defeat so quickly? The Gue race did not respond. They seemed to be disdainful. They didn't issue any notice. They merely spread out some rumors and told the scouts to retreat and stop pursuing Lu Li. Since Lu Li had admitted defeat, the Gue race didn't have to go after him. They would spare Lu Li's life. The Gue race spread the news on purpose. Soon, the Gue race's reputation was restored. That being said, in order to let Lu Li record the memory crystals, the Gue race spent another 500 trillion celestial stones. Lu Li extorted them. The Gue race had regained their dignity. Lu Li was rewarded, and the god of death had a chance to expand. Their headquarters in the Diangong universe had begun to be built again. Everything was going well. Of course, in this battle, the god of death lost a leader and so many top assassins. Many patriarchs of the Gue race were killed as well. Strictly speaking, both sides suffered losses. In the end, Lu Li admitted defeat. But he did so in a strange way. Even though it seemed that Luli had failed, he became famous after this one battle. The news spread across the 8 galaxies. There was a Luli in the chaotic star region who had incredible stealth and assassination skills. Usually, the major races would not dare to provoke this maleficent star. Third Master. Chapter 35-32. As promised, Luli left the Dipper universe after his mission was accomplished. Commander Lu had already signed an agreement with the 3rd and 4th elders of the Gue race. When they signed the agreement, they used a memory crystal to record this moment and engrave the Gue race's emblem on the agreement. This thing couldn't be carved casually. It would only be carved for important matters of the race. This agreement was something that the Grim Reaper's side had to sign. If the Gue race acted recklessly and this agreement was exposed, then the Gue race's reputation would be completely ruined. They would also become a joke in the heavenly Dipper Star region. By then, the Gue race would probably not even dare to go out as they would be laughed to death. After the God of Death received the agreement, Luli left with peace of mind. He didn't care about what happened next. The God of Death would send warriors to take over. He left alone and hid for 2 days after leaving the Big Dipper Star area. Then, he took out his battleship and flew to the chaotic star area. After flying peacefully for half a year, he returned to the heavenly chaotic star field and went straight to the Sky Moon City. Arriving at the Tianyu City, Luli found the city was crowded with warriors. Last time he came back, tens of thousands of warriors came to greet him. This time, however, there were hundreds of thousands and all the big shots were here. "Welcome back, Emperor Lu." Emperor Li personally shouted, and all the other warriors followed suit. Countless low-level death gods knelt down on one knee and shouted. Their eyes were filled with fanaticism, and they looked like devout believers. What Luli did in the Tiangang Star region had been spread to the entire chaotic star region. All 8 galaxies were talking about it. He had single-handedly subdued a super clan. What kind of impressive battle record was this? Everyone in the Grim Reaper was proud of Luli. Recently, they all felt proud. Many races in the chaotic star region were proud of Luli because this was a fight between 2 galaxies. It meant that the chaotic star region had won. Emperor Li sighed to himself when he saw the passion in the eyes of the Reapers. Even though Luli ranked last among the 10 warriors, Emperor Li felt Luli had become the first. He had become the soul of the entire Reapers, the king of the Reapers. Of course, Emperor Li wouldn't do anything about it. He knew very well that the Grim Reaper was a whole entity that represented the interests of all the major races. If he acted recklessly, it would harm the interests of the Li family. Luli exchanged conventional greetings with the warriors. Then he said that he had to go back and have some rest. They would talk again in 3 days. But Emperor Li and the others were not in a hurry. They told Luli to go back and have a good rest for half a month. For the Grim Reaper, there was nothing to worry about. Luli went back to the Lu mansion with his wives and Lu Renwang. A banquet had been prepared. Leaders of the Lu Alliance and Luli's friends were all present. Ha ha ha. Come, let's not go home until we're drunk. Luli was in a good mood. He could relax completely. During the time he was in the Dipper Galaxy, he had not slept well. His mind was on high alert all the time. He could die in the Dipper Galaxy if he was careless while being hunted down by 2 absolute completion realm warriors. Luli's wives said nothing. They had learned about what happened in the Tiangang Galaxy, and they understood how dangerous Luli's trip was. But they chose to say nothing. They all knew Luli's temperament. There was no point in saying anything. Once Luli had made up his mind, no one could change his mind. Also, they all believed in Luli because he had never let them down. That day, Luli got drunk. In the end, he had to be carried back by Yin Qingxi and the others. He slept for a day and a night in his own bed. For the next half a month, Luli never left his room. He just rested at home. Recently, the Chaotic Star region was particularly lively. Everyone was talking about what Luli had done in the Dipper Galaxy. Many minor races were not convinced that the Grim Reaper had become one of the 12 masters. Now they were convinced. Luli's fame was like the sun at high noon. He was among the top 10 in the chaotic star region. Not even some at the absolute realm could compete with him. Lu Li's fame had surpassed Emperor Li and the others. He had become the spokesperson of the Grim Reaper. Whenever the Grim Reaper was mentioned, Lu Li would be mentioned. What Lu Li had done over the years and his miraculous rise had been praised. During this time, the chaotic starfield was exceptionally peaceful. Almost nothing major happened. The 12 masters were resting and building up strength. Large-scale battles were strictly forbidden. Occasionally, there would be some small conflicts, but they were all suppressed by the major races. Some young masters from major races would go out and cause trouble. Whenever they did, they would be punished by the judicial hall and given heavy sentences. Therefore, during this time, the young masters and young ladies of the major races were keeping a low profile. They didn't dare to show off. As a matter of fact, the Grim Reaper was the most low-key of the 12 masters. Since he was facing a crisis and his own territory was not in order, none of the descendants of the 9 masters were allowed to go out. Also, the Grim Reaper was the weakest among the 12 masters. The young masters and young ladies of the Grim Reaper were well aware of this. Naturally, they didn't dare to go out and cause trouble. The Grim Reaper's assassination business was stopped in the chaotic star region. The young masters and young ladies didn't have an excuse to go out. The 9 masters had strict supervision. Therefore, the Grim Reaper had the best reputation. He didn't show his dominance as a master, and he never bullied the minor races nearby. Lu Li rested for half a month and then went to the council hall. All the masters were present. When Lu Li went in, he saw an unfamiliar, powerful warrior who was infinitely close to the absolute realm. Lu Li looked at him with curiosity and then turned to Emperor Mo, waiting for his introduction. Emperor Mo pulled Lu Li over and said with enthusiasm, "Lu Li, let me introduce you. This is Gu Qi, a powerful warrior that joined us recently. He has been our trump card, the Grim Reaper, and he has been famous for many years." Gu Qi was old, and he was a powerful warrior of special race. Lu Li sensed that Gu Qi was more powerful than Emperor Yu and the others. The Grim Reaper was going to replace Emperor Bo. Lu Li turned to Emperor of Wings and Emperor of Feather, and they nodded. Lu Li was more confident now. Gu Qi must be on the same side as Emperor Mo, Wings, and Emperor Yu. Lu Li smiled and said, "Lord Gu Qi, nice to meet you." Emperor Lu. Gu Qi cupped his fists and said, "Don't call me Lord. Emperor Lu, you are famous in the 8 galaxies, and you defeated the Duan race on your own. How can I be worthy of you calling me Lord?" Lu Li, Emperor Li said in a deep voice, "Emperor Bo is in trouble, and one of the 10 masters is vacant. We have arranged for Emperor Bo's descendants. It is a pity that there is no powerful warrior in Emperor Bo's family. Therefore, we have made a selection and found that Gu Qi is good. So, I want to ask your opinion." Lu Li waved his hand and said, "If you are okay with it, then I am okay with it. I trust your judgment, and I believe that with Gu Qi on our side, the Grim Reaper will grow stronger. Thank you, Emperor Lu, for your approval and kindness. Thank you, everyone." Gu Qi was overjoyed. He did not know Lu Li well before, but he did now. The core of the Grim Reaper was Lu Li. In other words, Lu Li was the boss of the Grim Reaper. If Lu Li did not agree, Gu Qi would not be able to take the position. Right? Emperor Li remembered something else and said, "Recently, there are 7 warriors who are very close to the consummate realm joining us. Gu Qi is the most powerful, and he is the one who has the deepest connection with the Grim Reaper. Let's discuss how we should deal with the other 6 supreme experts." Really? Lu Li was delighted to hear this. So many powerful warriors were seeking refuge with him. That was great news indeed. Chapter 35-33. The most important thing for a force was powerful warriors. They were the foundation of a force. Without powerful warriors, everything would be meaningless. Essentially, the God of Death was just an average force. Compared to the top forces, the God of Death was a major reason why the God of Death could become one of the 12 masters. If the God of Death were to rely on its own force, it would have been swallowed up, let alone become a master. Lu Li had grown attached to the god of death after spending so many years in the god of death. What was more, Lu Meng had become a part of the god of death. The interests of the god of death represented the interests of the Lu Meng. Therefore, Lu Li was concerned about the god of death. He was happy to hear that there were powerful warriors joining the alliance. Sovereign of Wings gave the information of the powerful warriors to Lu Li. Lu Li nodded after he read it. Those powerful warriors were related to the god of death in some way. Many of them had taken orders from the god of death. Now, they had no other choice. The territories were divided. They had no resources. They had to either fight for territories from the 12 Masters or go to the 12 Masters. Or they could go to the southeast of the Chaotic Star region to fight for a piece of territory. However, the territories there were divided as well. There were many powerful warriors that were close to the complete completion of the god of death. In the end, they chose to go to the god of death. The god of death was not made up of a single race. The god of death was an alliance of different races. At the very least, they wouldn't be excluded or suppressed by the god of death. According to the rules we have set, there will only be 10 masters. Please discuss how to settle the powerful warriors. Emperor Li said, speaking in a tone of a big brother. The other masters nodded. The principle of 10 masters could not be changed. It was the protection of the interests of all the powerful warriors here. If the number of masters kept increasing, then their interests and authority would be divided. When the number of masters increased and some joined forces, there wouldn't be a place for them to stay. The other masters expressed their opinions one by one. Lu Li said nothing. Guqi had just become a master, and he was keeping a low profile. He didn't dare to express his opinion easily. Some of the masters said that the powerful warriors should be made patriarchs, and the former patriarchs should be demoted to hall masters. Some masters said that the position of great patriarch should be set up so that the powerful warriors could be worshipped. Some of the big shots suggested giving this supreme expert real power and territory. This way, they would be able to win over the hearts of the people. After all, this group of experts was here for real power and territory. If he didn't hand it over, this group of experts would probably be bitterly disappointed. The other big shots said that they couldn't easily give real power. They could give land, but they couldn't give real power. Otherwise, how would the elders of the Grim Reaper feel comfortable? Emperor Li and the others had expressed their opinions. Only Guqi and Lu Li remained silent. Emperor Li turned to Guqi and asked, Guqi, if you have any opinions, feel free to voice them. You are one of the leaders now. We are democratic. The minority must obey the majority. Guqi smiled, cupped his hands, and said, Emperor Li, I have no opinion. I will listen to you. Guqi was very smart. He had just become a giant, so if he casually expressed his opinion, he would definitely be displeased by the other giants. He had just become a giant, so he had to keep a low profile for a while. He had to observe the situation and stabilize himself first. Emperor Li was satisfied with the ancient artifact's attitude. Turning to Lu Li, he asked, What about you, Lu Li? What do you think? Lu Li usually didn't express his opinion on matters, but this time he pondered for a moment and said, I suggest that we give them some high positions and observe them for a while. If they really have the ability and are loyal to the Grim Reaper, then we can give them important tasks. Now that our territory is so big, we need more experts to guard it. Okay, Lu Li is right. Agreed. As soon as Lu Li said so, Emperor Mo, Emperor of Yu, and Emperor of Wings expressed their opinions. Two other leaders agreed as well. Emperor Li pulled a long face. At first, the other two leaders didn't have this opinion. But as soon as Lu Li spoke, they changed their minds. Was there any democracy? This was like a monarch's centralization of power. 6 of the 10 leaders had agreed. It didn't matter whether the others expressed their opinions or not. Emperor Li and the others didn't invite humiliation upon themselves. They all agreed. Lu Li and the others began to discuss the Diangong Galaxy. Lu Li gave a brief account of his experience there. All the experts were shocked to hear this. The matters in the Heavenly Dipper Star field were almost finished. The elders who had gone to take over the affairs there had already set off. The resources promised by the Gue race had already been prepared. All they needed to do was wait for the elders to go over and hand them over. Luli, Emperor Li thought about it and said, "You can have the resources. You have made a great contribution this time. We don't have much to reward you. You deserve it." Luli shook his head with a smile. "No, the god of death has sacrificed so much for this battle. So many brave warriors passed away, including Emperor Bu. So, give the resources to the god of death." The other leaders tried to persuade Luli to stay. The god of death had taken over a large territory and was not in lack of resources. Luli had made such a great contribution. The resources were fought for by him. It was only right that Luli should be rewarded. Luli couldn't refuse. He didn't want to say more. He nodded in agreement. The Lu Alliance was not in lack of resources. That being said, with this batch of resources, the Lu Alliance would have enough for the next 1,000 years. It was time to mobilize another group of elites from the Middle King realms to train. Now that the business in the Diangong Galaxy was taken care of, the rest was trivial. Luli didn't want to express his opinion. After half a day of discussion, Luli returned to the Lu Mansion. Not long after he came back, Gucci came to visit with valuable gifts. Luli welcomed Gucci impolitely. Gucci was very respectful. Though he was more than 100,000 years old, he behaved like a junior. Based on his words, it was as if he would follow Lu Li's lead in the future. Even though Lu Li had made a great contribution and was the soul of the god of death, he was not arrogant. Instead, he was polite. He knew very well that if he were too overbearing or arrogant, the god of death would split up, which would be detrimental to the god's development. The next day, the god of death made an announcement. Gucci was promoted. 6 great patriarchs were appointed at the same time. The powerful warriors made an official appearance. Not only were they given high positions, but they were also given lands. This was a show of respect, but no real power. The 6 warriors who were infinitely close to the completion of the god of death knew very well that it was impossible to gain the trust of the leaders of the god of death in a short period of time. It would take time. The god of death had treated them well by giving them the positions of great patriarchs and lands. In the future, they would have to do something and make some contributions before they could be fully recognized by the leaders of the god of death. The Lu Mansion was quite lively. The 6 warriors who were infinitely close to the completion of the god of death came to visit one by one. They all brought valuable gifts and were humble. They had some connections with the god of death, and they knew some middle and high-level leaders. They had some information, and they knew that the real leader of the god of death was Lu Li. It was this young man who was only at the Emperor realm and looked gentle and amiable. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.